Hemp Wizard products are proudly used by former New England Patriots linebacker Brandon Spikes, Suicide Silence guitarist Mark Haleman, Canadian actor Jackson Rowe, Mr. Grimm and Noctis, the drummers of Walking Corpse Syndrome, guitarist and vocalist Bub Heaston and bassist Ted Wilson of Black Sasquatch, guitarist and vocalist Adam Hines of Fester, Aaron Witzel, guitarist of Cropsy Maniac, Roy Boy, host of the Licking County Metalheads podcast, Crash Fistfight and Maxine Maxwell, host of the Musicians Hangout podcast, Jeff Towlinski, host of the Hard Rockin' Sports Show.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life. When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, you gotta take a stand, it don't have to hide. If you hurt my friends, then you hurt my pride. I gotta be a man, I can't let it slide. I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life. I feel strong about right and wrong, and I don't take trouble for very long.
Yeah, another prophet of disaster. Who says this ship is lost? Another prophet of disaster, leaving you to count the cost. Taunting us with visions, afflicting us with fear, predicting war for millions in the hope that one appears. No point asking when it is. No point asking who's to go. No point asking what's the game. No point asking who's to blame. 'Cause if you're gonna die, 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 if you're gonna die. Stay with your boots on if you're gonna die. Well, stick around, gonna cry. Just move along if you're gonna die. You're gonna die, gonna die. Stay with your boots on if you're gonna die. Well, stick around, gonna cry. Just move along if you're gonna die. You're gonna die. The sea in the beast is rising. The Frenchman did some haze. Through earthquakes and starvation, the warlord will arise. Terror, death, destruction, all from the eastern stands. But the truth of all predictions is always in your hands. No point asking when it is. No point asking who's to go. No point asking what's the game. No point asking Watch the game. No point asking who's to blame. 'Cause if you're gonna die, if you're gonna die, and you're gonna die, and you're gonna die, die with your boots on. If you're gonna train, and just stick around and play. Just move along. If you're gonna die, you're gonna die. Die with your boots on. If you're gonna die, well, stick around, gonna cry. Just move along. If you're gonna die, die.
Performance and efficiency in harmony. Engineering meticulously crafted for responsiveness, acceleration, and confidence.
Where is it? Where am I? Whoa, what the hell's going on? There he goes. And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another live edition of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, live from High Top Hard Rocket Sports Studios in beautiful CD, Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 3-hour weekly get-together. We bring you all the biggest news from around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, and, of course, the wide world of sports. And, guys, welcome to Thursday night, May the 18th, in the year of our good Lord, 2023. And it is with a bit of a heavy heart that we do this show tonight. This is quite the anniversary time. I believe Chris Cornell's passing. We also have the 40-year anniversary of the Iron Maiden classic, Peace of Mind, which I just played my favorite song off the album. And it's sad because it's 40 years since it happened. And I saw this tour live back in the day. And we also will be celebrating the life and career of one superstar, Billy Graham. That's right, Jeff, myself, and a special guest will be joining us tonight. Our good buddy Will Cloak will be joining us to talk about the life and the legacy of one superstar, Billy Graham, whose real name, by the way, let's get that up for you. Eldridge, I think it is. Eldridge Wayne Coleman, born June 7, 1943, died May 17th, 2023. He was, of course, 79 years old. And I tell you the truth, I thought superstar Billy Graham was 70 years old back in 1977. That guy just looked old. I think everybody looked old back then, but the superstar looked old. Hold on, I'm getting a text message. Let's see who that's from. You never know who's texting and messaging me during the show. Okay, so Jeff, thanks for the update on where you were. Okay, so anyway, we got a lot to talk about tonight. How you doing, Adam Hines? So again, 40 years for Iron Maiden classic, Peace of Mind. We're going to find out where you guys rank that in the order of the Maiden world. One of the classics, has a few firsts as Maiden classics go. Some great tunes. And again, just a legendary album. The first for new drummer Nico McBrain, now part of the Iron Maiden legacy, obviously being there for over 40 years, but not the original drummer. We all know Clive Burr was there in the first 3 albums. But so much to talk about tonight besides superstar Billy Graham passing away. Iron Maiden. We got the NFL schedule last week. We could dig into that tonight. Aaron Judge's eyes. Where was Aaron Judge looking? We'll talk about that tonight. We got, the anniversary of the passing of Chris Cornell. I'll play a little music from him. And, of course, so much more when this show kicks off, which is right about now. And, again, our good buddy Will Cloak will be joining us in a few minutes to talk about superstar Billy Graham and Iron Maiden. But there's only one way that we can start this show, and that's by bringing on my buddy of 40 years. I know, Jeff, longer than this album is out. That's scary. That's right. I know, Jeff, almost 42 years. I know Will Cloak got to be close to 40-something years at this point in my life. So, my God, I'm getting old. But I'm still young enough to do this every week. So let's get the show kicked off. And let's bring on my pal of 40 plus years and the sexiest man in his room, Mr. Jeff Sauce. Welcome to Aaron's Rogers neighborhood, Towinski.
What's up, man?
And by the way, a big happy birthday to Jeff's little girl, Basil, who's up in the screen. If everybody notices, up in the corner, we got Basil up on the screen here as the logo. She's our logo for the night, and I put her up there. So the show is dedicated to Basil, one strong little girl who will rip your legs off if you go near the Towinski house, right, Jeff?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she's up here with me now. She's sitting on the bed. She couldn't wait to come up here. She lays down on the bed every night.
Yep.
And she's got a toy, and she turned 9 today.
She keeps watch over Jeff as he does the show. Not necessarily literally, but figuratively, she keeps watch over Jeff.
What's going on, guys? What about Adam? Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Adam. But yeah, she's with me all the time, and she hit 9 today, but still very spry.
Still a baby, Jeff. Still a baby.
No eyes, and still a maniac. Don't come near the house.
That's it. I went by the Towinski house on Saturday. Wouldn't even let me in the door. So eyes or no eyes. That's a tough young lady right there. So again, Jeff, in honor of the passing of one superstar Billy Graham, I decided to bring out the Austin 360 shirt tonight.
I'm wearing a different shirt for tonight. It's got the
Basil on it. That's even better. And I got hanging. You can't see it. I got my my Hulk Hogan shirt hanging up. So kind of thought I'd go with a little. I wanted to go a little old school wrestling. We're gonna get to. Good buddy Will Cloak reached out to me today and said he would love to be part of the superstar Billy Graham conversation. And Jeff, it seems like all too many times we're doing these kind of tribute shows now for our heroes of the wrestling world.
Yeah, but you know what? And listen, it's a sad thing when anybody that we used to watch when we were kids 10,000 years ago died. But at least superstar Billy Graham did something very different than a lot of these others don't do. And that's he made it to 79 years old.
He did. And as a guy who was a noted steroid guy, and yes, he did.
Yeah, and with all of the health issues that he had over the years because of steroids.
Yep.
And issues that he had with the McMahons.
Yep.
Going to court and everything else. So I'm interested when Will comes on what he has to say. But, that this is a man that, I remember hearing about him more than watching him wrestle, because they would announce him on and Vince McMahon would always be superstar Billy Graham, and he'd come out and he'd be huge.
Oh yeah,
the other guys that were wrestling at that point in time, and listen, another one for the books, I guess, right?
Yeah. Again, when you dig into him, I went through his Wikipedia page, and let me bring up. I think I have his. I'll hold this tribute for a few. But there was a couple, at least one really ugly thing in his life, and it was self-inflicted. And I'll bring it up when Will's on. But the funny thing about him was, I remember him very vaguely in the 70s as a wrestler when he beat Bruno Sammartino for the title and then lost it to Backlund. He didn't wrestle in my brain as much as I thought he would. And when he came back in the 80s, he wasn't quite in the health, even though he was only in his 40s, he was already getting hip replacements and he had bad ankles. So, I remember him more as a commentator, a little bit as a manager, because he managed. Trying to remember. I'm sure we'll get to, but we'll get more to superstar when we'll get Will on in a minute. But Jeff,
I know that Will is going to know this or more stuff than us, because I remember Will being into wrestling when we were younger.
Yes,
and he would, we will only get to watch certain wrestlers in our area. If people don't remember that, area, it was not like it is today where you watch a WWF on TV. WWF was in our area, and you go a little further south, a little further west, and these different wrestling organizations would be in different parts of the country. So you know, we saw. I know that Will used to rattle off all of these different names, so he's going to know a lot more than we know.
Yep. So we're going to get to Will in 2 minutes. Well, let's do our usual, Jeff. I welcome everybody in. We see Adam Hines is on there twice, which we love. Thanks, Frank Catalano. Love having Frankie around and everybody else who's watching and listening. So thank you all. But Jeff, how was your week?
Oh, it's still going. It's still going.
Another one of those weeks?
Yeah. It'll be on tomorrow too. But you know, they want to have events, and Jeffrey wants to get paid. So they said, yeah, you can come in tomorrow. So okie dokie.
I do not believe Will is Will is not the youngest. He has younger sisters, and I think Mike is younger, if I'm not mistaken. No, Will, you the youngest boy?
Will, I believe I'm almost 99.99999% certain that he is the youngest boy.
Okay.
And then he has two youngest sisters.
Adam never stuck, my friend. I told you, right after Memorial Day weekend, we're going to get you on. You're going to come on and spend some time hanging with me and Jeff on the show one of these Thursdays. So we'll set that up in the back. But
you know, it's almost like we have to have this guy on at least once because he's with us every week. You're on the show more than we are sometimes, man.
He's getting close. But Jeff, lots to talk.
You're right, Frank Catalano. He is the youngest boy because there's Joey, Pat, Mike, and then William.
Right. Yeah. If I believe right, I think was Colleen the oldest, or was she behind? Yeah, Colleen was the oldest, and then Joey, right? Yeah. So
things went awry at Joe.
Somehow we've turned this into name the cloaks. I don't know how that's possible, but we turned this into name the cloaks and their age. But we'll get to more
ages. I can't.
No,
we can play that game and have Will as the judge.
Yeah. But we got lots to get to. We'll talk a lot of football at some point, probably about 8 o'clock. We'll get to a lot of football. We'll talk about the schedule, some interesting things with the NFL schedule this year. The NFL is banking on two good New York football teams because they got a lot of primetime games between the two, a lot of standalone games, a few standalone games. The Giants on Christmas Day and the Jets on Black Friday. So lots of interesting, Jeff, for the schedule. We'll get to talk about that.
Like just the schedule. The NFL, NFL.com, and a lot of other people are pushing the Jets.
Oh yeah,
the heights where I don't think that they should be pushed just yet. And I'm saying that they have. I just read before dinner. Russell who? Who was he talking? Russell who? But anyway, they're calling the Jets a top 10 offense.
Yeah.
This year, I don't know about that, man. I think they're getting a little ahead of themselves. Let's get them on the field and get them healthy, and then take it from there and let them earn that top 10. You know what I mean? Don't jinx them.
Agree.
It's too much, man. Too much. Too much and too early.
I would agree with you. I think it's a very tough thing to put that on them. I mean, you know, there's still questions with the offensive line. I mean, there is a little bit of issues with depth at receiver. You know, who's playing running back, and will Bryce Hall come back the way he was? Tight end. So there's still some questions. Yeah, Quinnen Williams is still out. Is not happy. I'm sure he's going to get his money at some point. But there's still some issues on that team right now to be dealt with, and we'll get to it during the schedule of the NFL. And
I can't believe Quinnen Williams. He scrubbed. I love that new term. Scrubs his social media. I feel bad for this kid, man. He's only making $9 million this year. Yeah. How the hell is he supposed to make ends meet?
You know what's funny?
Scratching and clawing to break 100.
Yeah.
And this guy's making, and not 100 million either. This guy's making $9 million. And he's still under contract, and he's just unacceptable, man.
But you know what's worse about it? It's the modern day stomp your feet. When you're a kid, you stomp your feet to get your way. Now you're scrubbing your social media. Like, who cares? Like, do I really care if Quinnen Williams scrubbed the Jets? Does anybody believe that he's not playing for the Jets next year or not getting a contract? Come on, man. I mean, that's just the most ridiculous shit.
I got to be honest with you.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm concerned. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Why?
The Jets are notorious for not getting their second contracts to the players that deserve it.
Yep. All right.
Quinnen Williams has only gotten better
Yeah.
year after year after year.
Agreed.
I don't think that I would call him the best defensive tackle, but I would say one of definitely a top 5 in the league.
Top 3, I would put him.
And
I would put him top 3.
I'm going conservative.
Okay,
top
yeah,
5.
I got you.
All right, and he does deserve a raise, yeah. But you had basically one good year. You've been getting better, but you've had one good year. You know what? If I was him, I would say, you know what? I'm under contract next year, and you could use the threat of the franchise tag, but I'm going to play to a level where you're going to have to pay me because I'm going to look that there is no ceiling. As far as I'm concerned, there is no ceiling. I'm going to try to beat whatever I did last year. I'm going to beat this year and then beat next year, year after year after year after. That's my goal. To the point where you're going to have to pay me because you're not going to want me to go. That's my response to that. That's what I would say.
I got you. Understood. And fair. We're also going to get to talk a little bit about Chris Cornell tonight. Now, I'm not the biggest fan in the world of this music and all that. Let me play a little something here for you.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us, only sky. Imagine all the people.
An amazing voice, Jeff. No doubt about it. But a guy we'll talk about a little later in the show and kind of do a few minutes. I'll let you do a few minutes on Chris because you'll be much more apt. I got a couple things hanging up there for you to listen to.
Okay.
But I want to get that in. How long is it now? 5 years?
Oh man, I think it's 6 years. I think he got offed himself in 2017.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also tomorrow would have been Joey Ramone's 73rd birthday if he was still with us.
Joey Ramone, if speaking of the Howard Stern show, the appearances by Joey Ramone on the Howard Stern show were iconic. If you ever get a chance, go back and just YouTube Joey Ramone and Howard Stern. And in the early days of the Stern show in New York, the big celebrity guests at the time were people like Joey Buttafuoco, I'm trying to think, Joe Piscopo, and a big one was Joey Ramone. And Joey would come on and he'd be fucked up. And he'd be on, and it was hysterical, just absolutely hysterical. So if you ever get a chance, take a listen. Pat Cooper was another big one. Absolutely, Frankie. Yep, absolutely.
If you listen, if you listen to the Ramones stuff, it's almost cartoonish and childlike, the vocals. But you know what? He delivered them in such a way, and he was a good front man. It wasn't. Nobody's going to ever confuse him with Rob Halford or Ronnie James Dio or of course, Chris Cornell. That's never going to happen.
Right.
He was this big, tall, skinny, ugly guy that just, if you watch live videos, he would go out there and he would just grab the mic stand, assume his position, and just go off. And they would play 30-something songs in, like 50 minutes. It was unbelievable. I don't know how he did it, man. Am I a huge fan? I was really not much of a fan until I started playing with the Ramorons, and that got me to be a huge fan. Yeah, man. I love some of their stuff. Some of their stuff is incredible. It's easy to play. I could teach you how to play it. It's not hard, but it's just incredible stuff, man. Songs like Commando or Palisades Park, or I could just go on. There's so many great songs from them. It's unbelievable. It really is.
I have to be honest. I used to think I was a big Ramones fan, and I bought a couple of what do they call it? Jesus Christ, I'm going to blank. Greatest hits albums, and I realized there was a handful of songs I really loved, a couple songs I really liked, and then. So I would say I'm a fan of the Ramones. I just would never say I was a big fan. I love the rawness of it. I love the simplicity to it. It was just, look, here it is. We're not the greatest players in the whole world, but when we do it well, we do it tight. And, the songs are in the, they had a style, and that's what they did. And no matter who was in the band, that was the style of the Ramones.
Dude, you
Yeah,
listen
not
to some of their song, Ramones, a song written by Lemmy about the Ramones.
Mhm.
Great song. Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, Commando. Do you remember Rock and Roll Radio?
Yeah, sure. Great tune.
The Crusher. You should play that one right after we do the Billy Superstar Billy Graham tribute. It's all about a wrestling match.
Hmm.
The song, it's great, man. Pet Cemetery. It's
Kiss
great.
Kiss did an incredible rock and roll raid. Kiss did a great tribute of the Ramones. Check it online. Rock and roll raid. A Kiss version, incredible.
Yeah.
Just an incredible incredible song. I loved every second of it. So if you get a chance to find that online. But listen, it's 7:30. I told Will we get him on. I want to talk Superstar Billy Graham. And I want to talk a little. He'll help us transition into a little talk about Iron Maiden and Peace of Mind and where that ranks in the history of Iron Maiden and our fandom, and so much more to get to as the Hard Rocket Sports Show continues tonight. Again, pretty good chance we're going to be off next Thursday night. I might do the show live from Florida next week. That's just for
If you can see this, I'm looking for a place to put this.
I can tell you where to put it.
My guitar player got it for me, and it
Nice.
won't fit on my bass. But
Uh-huh.
it's a Ramon sticker, but it's all black, and I don't know if it's going to show up on the car. But I got to get it someplace without a
Yeah,
doubt.
I tell you, if you ever stop playing in a Ramones tribute band, you might regret that thing sticking someplace. So be careful where you put it.
Nah, you can't. You know what, dude? As I get older, my musical tastes have changed, and
Yes.
I've gone and played so many different types of music at this point in time, and playing the Ramones is just something that's so much fun.
Mhm.
I hope it doesn't end for a while, but there are some cracks in the armor, it seems, and
There always are, Jeff. There always are when you get 4 adult males in a room.
yeah, please, it's a shame.
It is. But let's bring Will on. Let's talk a little Superstar Billy Graham. And he's every once in a while he makes an appearance, and he's back. And it's our good friend Will Clark. What's up,
Hey
Will?
guys, what's going on? How we doing?
Pretty good, pal.
Where is he?
I'm in
These are-
Virginia. I'm in Virginia right now. I should be getting a ship soon. I was supposed to go I got some training next week, so I don't know where they're gonna send me right now. I'm in Virginia. It's all right,
So, Will, how does that work? Like, you go out for how long, and you're home for how long, and then you wait for what, the next assignment?
Yeah. What happens like this, Tommy? It's like okay. Like right now, I'm waiting for an assignment. Monday will make officially 2 weeks I've been here. So what they do is like I'm here and I'm all checked in. I'm all fit for duty. And I do it's called a 704 physical. Go pee in the cup, and then they give you an assignment. I don't know where they're gonna send me. Honestly, guys, hopefully somewhere cool or stateside. And I like to be home for this Christmas. I've been home for Christmas in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty cool. I got to go to the Iron Maiden bar in Singapore, which was pretty wild.
Oh,
I
that's
bought the Iron
interesting.
Maiden. I actually got to give that to you, Tom. I got the Iron Maiden glass.
Nice.
Yeah, see,
I know there's an Iron Maiden bar. I think it's in Spain or Portugal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
But
They got
I
their
didn't
own
know there was
beer.
one in Singapore.
Yeah, there is.
Wow.
So, actually, a lot of people like that one band. Who's that band that claims that they got passed over for everybody? Anvil. And I saw Anvil open up for AC/DC when I took Darren for his birthday. I got him tickets for AC/DC in Giant Stadium. I didn't think Anvil was really anything to brag about. They sounded tight, but they just
Yeah,
didn't do it.
I think that's Anvil to me is a figment of the publicity of their
Movie.
career. Yeah, it was the career where it should have been bigger and then it disappeared. And then the documentary, Jeff, I think catapulted them into a space where if most metalheads like us would go back and go, I didn't listen to them for a reason.
Well,
This stuff wasn't very good.
Anvil didn't have very good music.
No,
they had
exactly.
songs,
No.
right?
No, I
Here
think they
and
were
there,
terrible.
Metal on Metal, March of the Crabs,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Blood on the Ice. Winged Assassins. They didn't have a ton of shit. Most of their stuff sucked.
It
And it's
did. And then they turned around, Jeff. Not to
They-
cut you off, they would turn around and say, we
They-
played with Iron Maiden. We blew Iron Maiden off the stage. I'm like, okay, but you think you would have heard something about that? We blew Motorhead off the stage. I'm like, okay, you blew all of these bands off the stage, right? But nobody listens to you.
No,
So,
Yeah.
they didn't blow Maiden off the stage.
No, I know they didn't. I know
That's
they didn't.
bullshit.
And they didn't blow Motorhead off the stage neither.
Yeah, again, I could say that I remember them as a kid. I remember listening to them. I don't know if it was with Jeff. A lot of my musical stuff went to Jeff because he was all over the page with stuff that he would listen to. So
yeah.
going to Jeff's house, you never know what you're going to walk in to listen to. And I just never could capture it as a band that I could listen to. And then, I felt almost bad for them when the documentary came out and Lips was, doing like almost like Grubhub and delivering food.
Yeah, I know he was. The
Yeah.
other guy was working in a nursing home or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
Well,
first
like-
that I got from Manville was called Hard and Heavy, and it had to be after 1981. But they
Mhm.
had songs like School Love, AC/DC, At the Apartment, Painted Black, and that was about it. I mean, they had other songs on the album, but I remember it sucking. And I
Yeah.
was
I
like,
never got into them, eh?
it was horrible
Yeah.
stuff.
And there was a point where they were top billing at a couple of big festivals, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mhm.
And then they just kind of nosedive, and everybody who was on that card with them took off.
Yeah. Well,
I-
didn't the one guy from No More Tears, didn't he go on to play bass with them?
No, Sal Italiano went and played bass with them.
Yeah, I'm saying
Yeah.
him. Didn't he play with no? He played with the Iron Maiden band, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. My bad. He played with the Iron Maiden band. Yeah, because I saw that he played with them for a little while. But I mean, I don't think they got passed up. I mean, like
No.
you say, it's not critics that buy records; it's fans.
No, and
they
especially back
buy
then,
music.
it
Yeah.
was word of mouth, and it was stuff that you were catching here and there, and walking by somebody's boombox and heard it. But yeah,
Now I heard Iron Maiden from you guys. Like I said, walk past Jeff Tawinski's house or Joey Kansas's house. You never knew what you were going to get.
that's it. Well, especially Joey's house, you never knew.
Frank
It's
Catalano.
true, though. It's
Now-
true.
Sal plays with an Iron Maiden tribute, or used to before he
Mhm.
moved. He was playing with an Iron Maiden tribute out in
Yeah, they both were. Yeah, I think they both were at some point. Yeah.
Long Island.
Yep.
I can't remember the name of it. Not live after death. Not Aces High.
Might have been Live After Death or something in that vein, though.
I don't think it was, but he definitely played in an Iron Maiden tribute. band.
Yes, but his claim, Sal's big thing was cities, obviously. Back
Yeah,
in
he
the
played with
80s.
AJ. Yeah, that's right. He played-
Yes,
And-
made in
and-
New York. That's
That's it. Yep.
You know, there's another guy. Honestly, he was always such a nice guy, AJ. And
Oh.
you kind of really would have hoped that some big band would have picked him up. Because he really was a cool guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on tour with another band. I didn't know anything about them when he passed away, but Tony was always a nice guy, and I will say that all times I met Tony, he was always. I met him when I was a young kid. He was always a gentleman.
I met him twice. I met him twice in a crowd. He was talking with people I knew. I happened to walk up. I was introduced. We shook hands. Was very nice. Didn't big time anybody or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
And everything I ever heard was that he was such a nice guy, but never really got to know him or meet him. in
I
that
didn't
way.
know him but I would. Like if I was getting tattooed, one time he was there. We spent the whole half the day bullshit with one another, smoking. But back then when I smoked cigarettes, we
Yeah.
had some lunch, and like I said, yeah, he was a down to earth cool guy. In fact, I read J.J. French's book, and it was really really good.
Oh
You know-
yeah.
You know where he used to live, Will?
AJ up in the chateau.
Yeah, he lived in Christine Morio's old house.
Oh, really?
kidding.
Yeah, and every day when I went to work, I would pass Virginia Avenue. I'd be stopped at the stop sign,
Okay.
and then down Virginia Avenue, and there's AJ Perro coming out of the house, looking up the street at me. And every day we would pass. He's
Mhm.
walking out to his car, and I'm driving up Virginia Avenue to go to work. And we just looked at one another, and we never spoke, never waved, never nothing. But every single morning, we each looked to see the other, and it was like a morning tradition for several months, man.
Hey, it happens, right?
And the guy that owns the house that he lived in
Mhm.
works at my job.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Oh, you know Roy Lowe, don't you?
Oh, Roy, yeah. Oh, Roy's working in the parks now. I haven't seen Roy
Yeah,
since he was working
yeah.
in the supermarket. And all the supermarkets are basically closed except for one on Staten Island. What,
Pretty much,
ShopRite? There really isn't anything really left anymore.
No, it
No.
sucks.
Yeah, but listen, let's get to what we planned. We can go anywhere. I tell you, the show goes everywhere it wants to
Ask
go.
me what you want about superstar Billy Graham.
So yeah, so Will, I grew up. My first recollection of him is after he lost the title begrudgingly to Bob Backlund, and he to me was more of a guy that I knew from post wrestling and doing the strongman competitions and all the bodybuilding stuff. Will give us give us a little bit of your insight on the superstar in his career.
Okay. Like I said, I got my memories are basically the same as yours. What happened when I was really young, right? Because I remember my first wrestling live event, right, was in 1979. And it was spring of 79. It was Bob Backlund. He was champion against The Rock's grandfather, Peter Malvia.
I was there. I was at that.
Was it
I was at
Wagner
the garden
College?
for that. I was at the garden for that. Yep.
Okay, but I saw it at Wagner College because you
Oh,
remember
I
when
saw
we
it at the
were-
garden.
When we were young, I'm sorry. Good. You saw it at the
Oh,
garden.
go.
And they used to do smaller markets and big markets because it was territories. So
Right.
one night you'd be in Madison Square Garden, next night you could be in Wagner College. Because that's how the business, they said, that's how, because everybody had their territory.
Right.
And we know what happened with Vince Jr., where he went in and he crushed everybody.
Yes.
And he took all of the business. But the thing about Superstar was, like I said, my memories as much as you guys. So what happened was, I was probably 1976, a young kid, and the older guys one time gave me, I guess they were throwing the wrestling magazines out. They gave me wrestling magazines. So they gave me a stack of wrestling magazines, I wish I still had. And I remember there was a cover from 1975, and Billy Bruno was champion. And what happened with that was, you see, Bruno, remember, he's got the longest reign ever. He's got 11 years total.
Yes.
Bruno was, big Italian wrestler, and very popular with the Italian population, and definitely in New York
Absolutely.
and the East Coast. So what happened was, McMahon Sir asked San Martino to take the title back, because when Bruno dropped it in 71, after he held it for nearly 10 years to Ivan Koloff, Bruno said, look, I'm tired. I want to spend more time home. Okay. I don't want to be out there like this anymore. I want to break. So he dropped it to Koloff. So Morales took it from Koloff. Pedro was an excellent wrestler, but he wasn't drawing the numbers.
No, definitely not.
Bruno was. So what happened was McMahon Sir went to Bruno and he said, look, I want you to take the title back. And Bruno said, no, look, I'm not interested. And he said, well, I'll give you a percentage of the gates, right? And you won't work the small markets. You'll only work the big markets, Providence Civic Center, Madison Square Garden, Nassau Coliseum, all of them places. So it was only supposed to be 1 year. 1 year turned into nearly 4. And then, according to Bruno, he said McMahon Sir wasn't keeping his word. So he said, look, after he broke his neck, he said, look, I don't want to do this shit anymore. So you got to find somebody else. So McMahon Sir, when the promoters all worked together, that's when he first caught his eyes on Backlund. So he said, okay, I'm going to make Backlund my new babyface.
Mhm.
So he brought Backlund to do a couple of runs. Backlund turned around, and Backlund said this, I read Backlund's book as well. McMahon Sir pulled him into the bathroom, and he said, look, Bobby, you're going to be my next champion. Bob's like, well, what about Bruno? And he said, no, Bruno's going to drop it to Billy in April of 77. He said, he's going to drop it. And in February 78, you're going to win. We're going to bring you as the underdog. We're going to bring you up slowly, which he did. So we're going to bring you up slowly. So that's how, so Superstar became the champion. And of course, he held it for a year. Yeah, he had the 18 out of 20 sellouts and all of that. But the thing I think, when you watch Billy's interviews, he's just really bitter. He's just bitter at everybody. He's bitter at Bob Backlund.
Yes.
Right? He's just bitter. But if you look at life, right, like Backlund said, Backlund takes it with a grain of salt. And he's like, I understand how he felt, because I didn't want to lose the title when I did. But, that business is business. Not like Bret Hart, where He's got the
yeah.
famous mantra he never shuts up about 30
Yeah.
years later. I mean, you made $3 million a year with WCW, Brett. You did all right. You
Yeah.
know, sodomize me in the middle of the ring with a steak knife for $3 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's just like so. But like, he became like he kept telling McMahon, "Sir, make me a face." Right?
Mhm. Yes, and at that point they were very reluctant to make guys turn.
Yes, very.
That was,
very.
it was a very very special thing if they did that, you know, especially with a big name.
And when you look at it too, Tommy, the junk he put in his body.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like Fitz told me, Fitz said he remembers back in the 70s walking in New York City, freezing cold weather. And Billy Graham would come out of a gym with nothing on but a tank top, freezing cold weather. But you know, all the abuse and like San Martino said, it's just like, you know, you just kind of feel sorry for him because like he says, a lot of people said he lies. Like the famous saying, you ever heard, Tom, where he said 2 nights where he's going to drop the title to Backlund, him and Bruno wrestled a steel cage match, and I think it was in the Philadelphia Spectrum. And he said, "Oh, we were going to double cross Mr. McMahon." He said, "Me and Bruno said, you know what? Superstar said, let me knock you out the cage door, right?" So then Bruno said, "No, let's go this." And Bruno said, "That's a lie." Bruno said, "I never heard that's." He says, first of all, I didn't want to be champion anymore. And he goes, "And where's he get? I didn't believe in Backlund." He goes, "Backlund could wrestle."
Yeah,
you know,
actually was actually a great wrestler. Yes,
as
absolutely.
long as he wrestled against somebody who can wrestle.
Sure.
That I noticed about Backlund. If he wrestled, I mean, his matches with the Animal. I mean, the Animal just ran around and did his little routine.
Yeah,
you know, but
Wrestling was different back then.
Yeah.
Completely
Jeff,
different.
you're right, because back then you're talking, you had to actually know how to wrestle. Okay, Harley Race knew how to wrestle. Ric Flair knew how to wrestle naturally, right? Nick Bockwinkel, because you remember all of our knowledge then was through wrestling magazines, and everything was what you guys talk about. Then we didn't have cable TV, so we just got WWF. That was our wrestling, and so you know it was like he just became like when you watch interviews with him, and then when McMahon, San Martino accepted his inductment into the Hall of Fame, which Bruno deserved it, and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe Bruno, what a phony." The $20 million he got. And
Well,
like,
you know, it's funny. He Jeff, if I don't know if you know this, and I didn't realize this, that you know when that whole in '92 when all the steroid scandal was happening, McMahon and superstar Billy Graham went on the Phil Donahue show. Now that's dating it a little bit, but he went on and he claimed he was, and now this is an appearance with McMahon on the show. During the Donahue taping, Graham claimed to have witnessed WWF officials sexually abuse children.
They say
that. He made a lot of false claims.
Yeah, and it turned out McMahon claimed the abuse never happened. Graham later admitted that he made up the allegations, hoping to extort hush money out of the WWF. So, you know, this was not necessarily the nicest, best guy in the entire world. You know, let's call it where it is.
And did you know, not only did he do that, he ended up making up with the McMahons, and then he did it again. He did something else to them again.
No, it's right. It's right.
Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon was running for Senate, and he was going on there and blasting her. Then he wound up having a bad liver problem, needed money, and he reached out and he offered to become a spokesman for her campaign.
Yeah,
I guess to try to get some cash. So listen, you know, I would imagine there's a lot of the wrestlers, a lot of people in life that we idolized or looked up to or loved to watch. And they weren't necessarily the best people in the whole world.
No, they weren't. And he certainly wasn't because, I mean, okay, you dropped the title. He remained bitter. He's remained bitter about that forever.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he came back, you remember that karate gimmick, Tom? It was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't get over. Nobody cared. I mean, his matches were terrible. He was in such pain. You could see the other wrestlers were carrying him. They were carrying him in the matches. I saw wrestle Rocky Johnson. He was carrying him the whole match.
Do you think that those guys like superstar Billy Graham would make accusations like that because they were a heel for most of their career and they had to live that heel lifestyle no matter what? You know, like nowadays it's completely different. They could switch roles once a week. Back then you were either a heel or you were not a heel. And Billy Graham had to live that to the fullest. at that point in time.
No, you know what,
Yeah, I
Jeff?
mean-
I think part of that maybe, but I
lot of
think it's just that
steroids.
bitterness. I think it's just being bitter. Maybe he didn't make the money he should have. Maybe he just. I never thought he was a great wrestler. I never thought he was one of those guys. He was a good talker. Don't get me wrong. I think he did a great job on the mic. But if you watch a lot of the Superstar Billy Graham matches, it's okay. He just was a big dude. That's really what he was.
Yeah, but Tom, back then, those guys a lot more wrestling than in modern day wrestling.
Oh, of
They
course.
actually wrestled one another. And if you watch an old WWF match from the 80s, you'll end up falling asleep in seconds because they're not doing half the moves and everything that they did back then. They
No.
were actually wrestling. It was boring to watch.
Yeah, I guess in the 70s and let's call it the pre-Hulk Hogan era, I would agree with you. Some of that stuff was, arm bars for 10 minutes in the ring, and it was, some of it was borderline, not watchable. And again, he's part of that era. Just now,
You know, right there,
some
that,
of it was,
right there.
was borderline, not watchable.
Everything that they're showing. Look at this.
Right there,
Yeah.
was borderline, not watchable.
Well, you're lucky he got out of the arena alive that night.
Somebody's feeding back. I don't know where that's coming from.
I don't know. It's like the whole show is coming back out.
Yeah, I don't know why the show's coming back at us that way. Hold on.
I don't know. It's like the whole show is back.
Yeah. Anybody got something? Let's try to remove
You
that.
guys hear me? There you go.
Yeah, I took the Billy Graham off there. Somehow, some way, that's kind of feeding back. All right, never mind. So
He was. When you talk, we can hear you, Will.
Yeah, you're good, Will. Will?
Now we can't hear him.
Yeah, now I can't hear him. I can see
Okay,
him.
okay.
There you are, Will.
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yeah, perfect. So, yeah, again,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Let me ask you guys this, Jeff. First, where would you? Do you put?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Let me ask you guys this, Jeff. First, where would you? Yeah, I don't know. Somebody's got something playing that I can't. Stop screen. Maybe that's it. Try that. Okay. Jeff, can you rank Superstar Billy Graham? Would he make a top 10, top 25? Jeff Towinski?
I would have to say top 25 without a doubt, because you got to think of the time period and everything. He was a personality for the time period that he was in. And when I mean like he represented, he was the attitude of the wrestling, the WWE at that point in time, WWF at that point in time. So I think a better question, would be, would he be able to survive in today's wrestling? You know, I don't think that a lot of those older guys can, but he was also a showman.
Yes.
So that may help him and may get him by in this situation because he was a showman.
Now, I think, Will, the big thing for Superstar is I think was one of those guys that a lot of people, if you watch, like, to me, Jesse Ventura is just Superstar Billy Graham, the next generation. You know what I mean? Why that's happening on why that's
Nope.
I don't know why that's happening at all right now.
But he was also a showman.
Somebody's got to play him back somewhere.
All I got is me on here, Tom. That's
Yeah. You're not hearing anything. You're not hearing the show coming back at all.
I hear it coming back. Yeah.
Like you hear it replaying itself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take you off for a second. Hang on a second. Let me see if it's Will's. Yeah, something to do with Will's stream. You right, Jeff? You hearing now? You're not hearing it, right?
I'm not hearing anything, but we also there was no problem with Will for a few minutes there, and then all of a sudden we were getting feedback from 2 minutes ago, it seemed.
Yeah, hold on. Let's bring him back. All right.
I'm trying to see if I can hear
There
you.
you go. Will?
Oh, yeah.
Will, you there? I think we lost Will. Will, we can't hear you.
I can't hear you guys.
Yeah, he's done something.
You
on
can
his
hear
end.
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I
Yes.
can't hear you guys.
Yeah, I don't know why you're not hearing us at this point.
Why
Something
does
on
that
your
happen?
end then. Will, try to he's not hearing us.
Wow, what happened?
Try to read. Let me tell him on where is that?
You can't see him.
I could see him.
You can see him?
Yeah, it's still though right now.
I can't see him at all. I just see a black frame.
Okay. Tell him to log off and come back.
He can't hear us.
Log off and come back.
I can't. Hold on. Let me try again.
All right, I booted him out. We'll try it anyway, guys. Sorry for the technical problems. Yeah, Jeff. My superstar Billy Graham. I think it's just he's kind of that guy who spawned a lot of guys like Hulk Hogan, Jesse Ventura, people like that who patterned themselves after him.
If you look at him, him and Hulk Hogan look like they could almost be brothers.
I would agree. Same thing with Jesse Ventura. Look at Jesse Ventura's early career. It's the same guy.
Yeah.
The bonus, the whole bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well, let's try him again. All right, well, let's try it again. Now we got you. Yep.
Okay, cool. I got you too. Okay.
You sound better.
On Superstar, guys. No, I don't believe he was a top 10 wrestler. I just believe he was an extortionist. I mean, he sold his Hall of Fame ring, for his problems with his liver. Like Jeff said, like he was always sold. He was on death's door for over 20 years.
Yeah, here's the thing. I didn't. If you were to ask me a month ago how old Superstar Billy Graham was, I would have told you he was in his 90s. The guy was 79.
Yeah,
20 years ago, he was. You're right. He looked like he was on death's door 20 years ago, and the guy was in his 50s.
That's living proof of why you don't do steroids.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, but there's a lot of these guys. I mean, Hulk Hogan's in his 70s, and I know Hulk Hogan's. I think 70. They're 10 years apart. I would have thought they were 20, 25 years apart.
Yeah, you would have thought that.
Hulk Hogan's not even 70 yet. Are you?
I don't think he's 70. I think he's just short of 70. If I had to guess.
Yeah, I think he's turned 70 this year. I think.
Yeah, I want to say 68, 69-ish.
69.
Yeah, and they're 10 years apart, but I'm not saying Hogan looks great, but
it looks in better shape than fucking Superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah, and Hogan, we all know, did his share of steroids. And a lot.
You got to think of this too. Hogan did steroids. Yeah, so did Superstar Billy Graham. But Superstar Billy Graham could have been like pumping in bull piss for all you know, because they said, yeah, this builds you up. Nobody breaks down that fast, man.
Well, it's funny. I had no idea that he was like best friends with Schwarzenegger back in the 70s.
Yeah, he was.
They did all those, superstar, all the bodybuilding and all that stuff together.
And in that clip you played, he was sitting right next to Schwarzenegger. He was just as big, if not bigger than Schwarzenegger.
He was. He gained.
Not as cut up, but he was definitely as big as Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah. He was monstrous back in the day.
I just think the reason he's so bitter, like a lot of guys, like Ken Patera says, they all said, I just wouldn't listen to anything that comes out of his mouth nowadays. It's all nonsense. It's just like you just said, he extorts people. I mean, he was doing a GoFundMe page recently. His wife was trying to keep him on life support when the doctors were saying pull the plug.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they raised like $25,000 or some $50,000. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean,
you know where that money's going. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's funny. Back in the day when I was a kid and when I was heavy into watching it in the late 70s into the mid 80s, guys like Superstar would show up and you'd watch him wrestle, and then you'd be like, oh, what happened to Superstar? And you'd think like, where did he go? And he just disappeared off the face of the earth, and you didn't realize like the McMahons hated him or something went on, and they just said we're not going to use him anymore, and he disappeared. And next thing you know, he's probably wrestling in, bumfuck nowhere, and you had no idea because of TV coverage.
Well, you know how that was, Tom, actually. I found out how that went back in them days when we were kids was when a heel came into a territory, he wrestled 7 months.
Okay.
And then he left and he moved on to AWA or NWA or whoever would hire. Right? Billy Graham, I mean, he had his moments, right? But obviously he didn't save any money. He obviously didn't invest any money. And he's obviously crashing Bob Backlund, but Bob Backlund actually Bob Backlund has over like $5-10 million. Actually, Backlund was very smart with his money.
Yeah, listen, Bob Backlund was champion for a long time. He did a lot of stuff in his day. So
But he
was a
didn't
smart
do
man.
steroids. He didn't do
No.
drugs. And he said that. He said, like, you know, like, I didn't get involved in any of that stuff. He said, you know, he didn't want it, like Backlund, he didn't want to be around Snooker. He said, because Snooker was a waste of space. He said
Yeah.
Snooker was always on drugs. He said, I had no use being around those guys. So,
Bob Backlund, just for the record, 73 years old.
yeah.
Wow. But the one thing about Backlund is I agree he didn't do steroids, and the guy was a health nut and was a fun wrestler for me growing up. He turned very crazy at the end.
Oh, I love this
you know,
Mr. Backlund routine.
yeah,
I
like
loved it.
he was, but like even his off camera stuff was a bit on the nutty side.
Oh, yeah.
So going on the line, Bob Backlund going crazy, but it's an interesting era when you went from those guys of Sammartino. Those guys were personalities, I guess, even back then, and then you went to that vanilla Bob Backlund, Mr. All-American, and then it was the Iron Sheik and Hulk Hogan and that crowd. It was such a change, Jeff. It was clear. It was almost like they changed the channel, and all of a sudden, like, I can't even. I don't even know if I can put an analogy to it, but it just completely changed the whole tenor, Jeff, of that era of wrestling.
Well, listen, if you remember Hulk Hogan, of course he was a big wrestler, but he was in the Rocky movie right before he won the title. If he wasn't in the Rocky movie and the Rocky movies weren't the sensation that they were, you got to wonder, would he have ever been given a chance in the WWE to win the title? But
yes,
to take the title away from the Iron Sheik at the time because he was too much of a heel.
Well, no, I read Hogan's book and I read a couple of other accounts, and the truth was he was being lined up for that title, and then he went to McMahon and said, "Hey, I got an opportunity to do this movie. I'd like to take a minute and go do it." And he was told, "No, we're lining you up."
That's correct.
And he basically said, "Screw it, I'm going to go do it anyway," and went and did it.
Okay.
But yeah, so because Hogan, I don't know where Hogan had seen him somewhere. I'm sorry. Sylvester Stallone had seen him wrestle somewhere, maybe at the Garden or something, and said, "That's the guy I want in my movie." And he tried forever to get in touch with him, and Hogan was blowing it off, thinking that can't be Sylvester.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah, he thought it was a joke. And he finally called back, and Sylvester Stallone got on the phone and said, "Hey, I want you to do my movie." He says, "Come on, you got to be kidding me. This can't be." And turned out he was. He went to McMahon, and this is before, I guess, McMahon thought this could be a great promotion. Afterwards, he realized this could be good. Hollywood, Hogan, Mr. T. So Hogan did him a huge favor by forcing it, but the reality was he was headed that way anyway, and almost got derailed because of it.
Well, what happened?
He would have got the heights that he did if it wasn't for that movie, because that movie put him on the forefront, put him nationwide.
Sure. Oh, absolutely, 100%.
I saw Hogan wrestle live, same place, Wagner College, 1980 against Dominic DeNucci. And that's a long time ago. And no, what he said was, so he told Stallone, but McMahon, one thing Hogan said, he said, it's always good to negotiate with a manager. Stallone offered him 10 grand. He took 15. He said, no, I want 15. So he gave him 15. And the movie was a success. And he said, everybody made money except for me. But he said, so Vince McMahon, sir, said to him, I need you wrestling in these, the upcoming events. So he said, no, I need like a week off. And Vince, sir, said no. He goes, well, I'm doing. He goes, well, then you're fired from the company. He said, go. So then he went to AWA. Vern Gagne, who was foolish, was going to give the belt to Hogan, but he turned around an hour before the match. And this was in 1982 when he told Hogan, I want half your Japan money, because Hogan was big in Japan. Actually, if you watch guys, Hogan wrestle in Japan, right? He actually wrestles more because of Japan.
Really?
He actually had to, because those guys actually wrestled. So he said he wanted half of his Japan money. He wanted all his T-shirt money, and Hogan wisely told him no. And then that's when Vince McMahon Jr. bought the company from his father, and he came up with a vision, and we all know how that worked. And Hogan owes, he owed him and Jesse Ventura. They definitely, owe their gimmick to superstar Billy.
100%.
Absolutely. And they both admit that.
Adam Hines, Mr. T was famous before all of that for being he won the like a bouncer contest. It was a TV thing where it was like a bunch of bouncers across the country got
I
together.
remember that.
It was like a reality thing, and he won the competition. That's where he got discovered. Of course, he did the Rocky movie, and then he did the A-Team, and then Hulk Hogan. And I get they decided to bring him in. I guess him and Hogan met, whatever.
Yeah.
And his only real wrestling was I think he did the first two, if I'm not mistaken, WrestleManias.
He did. Piper couldn't stand him. He never watched a boxing match. They're cheering
Yeah,
Piper.
he boxed Roddy Piper.
Yeah,
They
in
were
the
cheering
second
Piper.
one. In the first one, he wrestled with Hogan against Piper, against
Orndorff.
Piper and Orndorff. Yes.
And you know what's funny though, Tommy?
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
the
well.
biggest event, right?
Oh, sure.
And I know one guy that went to it, and he said ringside seats were like $75. I'm like $75 for that
Yeah.
time.
Sure.
And the pay-per-view and all, like we said back then, we didn't even have cable.
No,
I mean,
the
we didn't
first
have cable
two,
till 1988.
you had to go. I think the first one you could go see it closed circuit
could.
other places. I was at the Garden, but nobody went. I mean, I remember, but it was big. It was, and I think that was also pay-per-view, but on a very limited.
Yeah.
And then WrestleMania 2, and it wasn't until 3 that it became the phenom that it became.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 3.
1 and 2 weren't so much pay-per-view. You had to go
Full
to
circle.
it was the
Closed
Felt Forum
circuit.
or
Closed
something.
circuit.
Yeah,
Closed
yeah,
circuit,
closed circuit. Yeah, closed circuit.
And,
Yeah.
and they showed them over there at the Felt Forum in Madison Square Garden, if you
Yeah.
remember that.
And
Yeah.
I had tickets for the one for WrestleMania 3. I forgot what high school. Maybe it was at Tottenville High School. It was Wagner College. Theirs went on with a success, but we wound up going to Carvel Ice Cream. Me, my brother Mike, Petey Madras, Stewie, who passed away not too long ago, and his girlfriend. Time. We all went to Carvel as like $17 a ticket, and we went out and they had the signal, and then they lost it. So they never even let us in. So they said, "That's it, guys. It's not happening." So the guy in Carvel nearly got his head ripped off, and all the people showed up that night for a refund. And
Oh wow.
so you had to mail the tickets. You had to mail the tickets back to Titan Sports, and they gave you your money back in a calendar. And but they say that the numbers to that. Well, I mean, still 78,000. They said 93,000, but a lot of people familiar with it said it was actually 20,000 people less.
Wow.
The number.
Yeah.
Got but honestly,
Sure.
the match with Andre and Hogan, actually, when you watch it actually sucked because Andre could barely walk at that point.
Correct, but to me, it's almost I understand and I agree with you 100%. I don't think either guy was a great wrestler, but it was the lead up and everything that went to it, and the fact that Hogan slammed, even though Hogan had slammed them 100 times already in his career, 100, yeah. But to me, that's the Jets beating the Baltimore Colts. Like, there are big moments. That's the big moment because everybody tuned in to see that match, good, bad, or indifferent.
Oh, yeah.
You tuned in to watch that. And again, that's not the best match of that night, let alone the best match of all time.
Steamboat and Savage.
Steamboat and Savage was the best match of the night. I mean, if you want to put
out, everybody when we saw it, on a tape at my friend's house, like 2 days later, we watched the whole card, and we were like, wow. So we all walked out of there talking about.
I still have that whole WrestleMania on a videotape somewhere. So, but to answer Adam Hines, Mr. T did wrestle in the first one, limited, but he did wrestle. Mm-hmm. And in WrestleMania 2, he boxed and it turned into a brawl. Yeah, Jeff.
I don't think he wrestled.
He did
in the first one. He was involved.
He was involved, but they let him slide. They let him.
Yeah,
slide.
he was. I mean, he wasn't throwing moves around, but like he had. I think he ordered off a Piper in like a fireman's carry. He did a couple of slams.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he was
Piper nearly
more involved than wrestled.
Yeah, the truth is the two of them hated each other. Piper and T hated each other.
Well,
and
you know why? Because Piper
Mr. T and Roddy Piper.
Really?
Piper said that they wanted originally him to pin Piper, and Piper said, "Listen,
Yeah.
You are spitting in the face of every single wrestler
Yes.
in this fucking business that
Yes.
has busted their ass to be where
Yep.
they are, who's traveled up and down those roads for $25, going all of these miles. He says no. And Piper says that's why Piper lasted as long as he did, because he was extremely very smart. And that's like Hogan. You ever hear what Hogan says? I wish Piper would have played better ball then, because Piper wasn't stupid. And that's why
Yeah.
they killed a feud with him and Piper very quick.
Yes, because Piper refused to be pinned. He would lose a match, but he would never let them pin him. Yeah, I get. I'd have to go back and look, but they say that he was never pinned in a match. He lost countouts. He lost on
He was
disqualifications.
never pinned.
But he could never. You could never pin him, because that was, one of his thing was, these guys can't beat me. I'm not letting them beat me in that way.
Well, you know what's funny?
Why did he say that and feel that way?
I don't know.
Well,
don't know the answer to that.
Because he always said that, like Law Bannell told him, and Piper said, Law Bannell told me this. And he says, don't let him make you Hogan's next crush, where
Yeah.
Hogan's going to just be, and he says, and you're Papa, he says, you're going to go down. Piper kept himself in the main event status, Jeff, by doing that.
Sure.
Because if you think about it, Piper main evented against Andre the Giant. I mean, everybody, even his book, I was at that match when he's hitting him with the brass knuckles in the garden. And Piper said Andre came up with that. People didn't realize if Andre saw something in you, Andre let you body slam. If Andre thought you were an
Yes.
asshole like the Ultimate Warrior, he'd punch you every night.
Yeah.
I mean, and but they were saying that worked very well for Piper, because he was able to keep himself longer in the main event status
Oh, yeah.
that way. So it was pretty smart strategy. Well, Hogan was a politician. Then again, so was Bret Hart. These guys
Sure.
have creative control. And
Absolutely. But Piper's thing was, Piper was a good wrestler who found a niche as the ultimate bad guy who was loved. I mean, how many bad guys?
Exactly.
The second half of his,
He wasn't loved until way later in his career.
yes, 100%.
Hated. And
He knew how to
WrestleMania
take it
1 and
out.
2,
He
a
knew.
lot, and the way that he treated people when he
Oh,
had
sure.
the pit stop, whatever the fuck his show was.
Piper's pit,
Piper's
the
pit.
Piper's
Yeah.
pit.
with the coconut.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until something happened, somebody turned on him, I believe, that made him go good.
Adrian
Well,
Adonis had the flower shop. They had
yeah,
him-
but he
Bret
never
Hart
turned
back then.
good. He just became the bad guy everybody liked.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
that's
was
what
he
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 was
never really heel turned.
he
I
was a
don't
fan
wanna-
favorite. He was a fan.
Yes.
Near the end of his career, he was a fan
100%.
favorite.
Yeah, he
So he
turned face in
definitely-
86. Then he retired for a few years. He was doing movies. They Live was successful.
They Live was a good movie.
But they
He did a
got
good
mad
job of
at
that
him because it was a success, and then they really weren't giving him any
Yeah.
movie roles.
Yep.
So he
Yeah.
had to come back to wrestling.
Yeah, they all had to come back
Movie
to
roles
wrestling.
you had, they weren't going to give him
Yeah.
he wasn't going to be in The Godfather 3. You know what I mean?
No, he was just, he had They Live, and he just said after that since it was a success, I guess that didn't tune off to some Hollywood actors well. And he said
Yeah.
after that, they really didn't offer me anything. So I just said, you know what? Then I go back, like Tommy just said, they all had to go back to wrestling because that's all they knew.
I hated Piper, but now watching back, and I just watched WrestleMania 4 or 5 this last weekend. I watched it, and I realized how much of a great wrestling entertainment guy he was. I mean, with he could just take over the screen and just talk forever, and it was interesting, and he was funny, and he was a good wrestler. And I thought it was perfect for him and Mr. T to have that feud because Jeff, just like you said, he was a guy who just did not want to ever lose, but certainly would not let a guy like T beat him. And that's why that was such a great feud.
If you remember the things that he did in the ring, he was the kind of guy that all of a sudden, like you would be wrestling him, and then all of a sudden he would just poke you in the eye.
Yes.
Just match down.
Yeah.
And if you remember, he was very slow and methodical in the ring.
Yeah, listen, he had some of the best feuds with T, with Snuka, with Hogan. I mean, you think about he had for a guy, and the fact that he never became champion was mind-boggling. He would have been the perfect heel
He
champ.
never wanted it. He never any of the belts,
yeah.
companies that he worked for. He really didn't. He said the only thing a belt did was make his bag heavier. That's what he said.
I remember I watched him wrestle at the Garden on the same card as the steel cage match between Chief Peter Maivia and Bob Backlund, and he was on that card. He came out in the kilt with the bagpipes.
Oh, that's when they stuffed his bagpipes on him.
Yeah, I don't remember. I couldn't tell you the match. I just remember him coming out.
Freddie Blassie and them. He said he found out later they put toilet paper in his
funny characters. Hey, Will, you know what? Will, I want to get to a little Iron Maiden before we lose you. So let's talk a little bit about the guys. It's the 40th anniversary of one of my favorite Maiden albums. Hey, I go back and forth. Sometimes it's my favorite. I know Jeff's favorite are the first two, but I'm curious to see where you guys and Will, where do you rank Peace of Mind in the body of Maiden albums?
Wow, that's definitely up there. I mean, it's still one I listen to today when I work out. I mean, I like that. I like Beast. I like, Power Slave. I put it up there, maybe, because if you think about it, really in reality, for the longest time, that was my favorite Maiden album.
Me too. I've gone back and forth on that. I agree.
I love Power Slave. And I mean, like I said, I lost touch with them. Once I bought Somewhere in Time, I didn't care. That studio, I never really heard Seventh Son. It's got some good songs. A lot of people talk about that album. But I would say Peace of Mind. I mean, I know Jeff likes the first Iron Maiden album. I like Killers. I think I'm still waiting for them to release Made in Japan. I mean, they should.
You guys are saying, and you're leaving out the most important part.
What's that?
That was the first album that Nigel McBrain was on.
Yes.
That's true, too.
Okay. That was 3 albums in a row that there was personnel changes.
Correct.
So still didn't set up
all these guys would come
most known lineup.
Yep.
Which was Murray, Smith, Harris, McBrain, and Dickinson.
Yep.
Okay.
For that album.
That was the first album that really solidified that for the longest time. And with Nico coming in and taking over for Clive Burr, it gave the band a different feel. And I think it gave them, it expanded their abilities a little bit. Harris is writing differently. And the songs on that album were a little bit longer. That was the first album. The songs started getting a little bit longer.
Well, to me, that was the beginning of the progressive end of Iron Maiden. I mean, that was where it started to change with the Tame of Land, and some of those songs got a little different and longer.
Right.
Like you said.
Longer, Tame of Land. You're right. All the songs, Sun and Steel, these drumming,
and then they started getting progressive, without a doubt.
Yes, and that was the beginning of it. I still put that in my top 2. I love the first 2 albums. I love them to death. I think they're always going to be there for me. But when I hear that album, I think, first of all, it's the first Maiden tour I ever went to. There was that one, Maiden and Quiet Riot at the Garden.
My cousin Billy Cloak went to that. Yeah, they sold the Garden out.
Yes, it was amazing. So I'll always have a special. But Number of the Beast is probably my favorite Maiden album because I just Dickinson's voice. The first time I got to hear Iron Maiden, just the song Number of the Beast live, it was the studio version, whatever, was my favorite. So just an amazing album. I don't. Again, Jeff. I mean, where do you? I mean, that's got to be like number 4 for you, right? I would guess at this point.
It's hard to say. I mean, listen, probably my least favorite has got to be Somewhere in Time.
Oh, that was terrible.
The first 2 are the first 2, and then probably Number of the Beast. That's probably number 4, the order that they came out. And listen, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. That's a pretty good album. I like that album. A big production. You really can't complain much. But I kind of lost them after Seventh Son.
I like Power Slave. I think
Power Slave was good too. Yeah,
really good. I thought it was a really good album. I mean, Live After Death don't count because it's a live album, but you gotta
like Death is a live album. It's a great live album, though.
Because when you think about Live After Death, it was me and Petey Magris and Babe from Staten Island Amusement said to us, "Will you guys clean this lot out for me?" We had a half a day from school. We went over there. We cleaned out the lot. He gave us $20 each. We jumped right on the freaking old 104, took it to the music center. And, here you are with $20 and you're in your heaven. And the album was $8.99. Remember that, guys?
Yeah, sure.
$25 because us metalheads back then, they weren't going to spend $17, $18. So Maiden had it specially priced. It was $8.99, and it sold like hotcakes. I remember me and the guy in Music Center talking about that, how it sold like hotcakes.
Hey, I want to play you guys something, and then I will give you. Tell me if you know what this is, and what it mean, and what this comes from. So I'm going to play this for you. Give me a second. So you can let me know if you can hear it.
Oh yeah.
You said it in the beginning of the thing what it was from.
Oh, wait a minute, song.
And that's
Wait.
Nico McBrain saying
Yeah,
it.
wait.
For who said the thing with 3 bonds? Good melody thing, you won't understand.
Now the second one was the actual front version. So do you guys know what this is and why and where it comes from?
Nico
I
No,
McBrain.
I just remember the song before the intro to Still Life.
Correct. Yeah, Jeff. You know what it's from?
I don't know what it's from, but I believe it was Nico McBrain talking.
Yeah. So Nico McBrain used to. Now this is the oddest thing. Nico McBrain used to do a rendition of Idi Amin. That was Nico McBrain's version of him doing Idi Amin. He was a dictator. People don't know him.
Yeah, in Africa.
Yeah, he's a very brutal dictator. So, I will tell you exactly. So here it comes. This is Nico. This is Nico's take on it. He said, "What host said."
It's not like you said it in French too.
Oh yeah. So according to Nico McBrain, we were sick and tired of being labeled as devil worshippers and all the Bolocks by the fucking morons in the States. So we thought, right, you want to take the piss? We'll show you how to take a bleeding piss, my son. What that means. And one of the boys take me in the middle of an Idi Amin routine I used to do. Imagine somebody should do an Idi Amin routine. I can't even imagine that. And he goes,
Tom,
yeah.
Will, I'll be right back.
Yeah. He said, I had a few drinks. I remember it distinctly ended words, don't meddle with things you don't understand. We thought it was going to be stupid about this sort of thing. We might as well give them something really stupid about. So essentially, he taped himself saying it, and then they played it in reverse because at the time, everybody, because of Number of the Beast, everybody thought they were Maiden was these devil worshippers, and they were hidden meanings in the songs.
You're right, because like if you ever listen to Maiden Beast Over Hammersmith, right?
Yes. Yep.
They had a hard time releasing Number of the Beast.
Yes.
Because of, like we just said, the devil worship and crap.
Yeah, and
and it was all baloney. We all knew that. And like I said, what the problem people never looked at was the people that put their own little stuff into their own mind have their own little problems. It had nothing to do with music. It all had to do with that.
100%. Yes.
And they sued everybody from Ozzy to Judas Priest. Like Rob Halford said, one thing he didn't like about that case, he said what the judge's final verdict was. Judge said, oh, well, you're protected by, the Second Amendment. And Halford said, no, I didn't want to hear that. I wanted the judge to say this band has absolutely nothing to do with these kids' problems. Both of the kids long had problems. Both
sure.
Guys long had problems with drugs and booze and everything else.
Yeah.
So they were a sitting hotbed one way or the other, It's crazy. But that is, definitely, Peace of Mind is definitely a classic. And people used to have that spray painted on the back of their jackets.
Sure. Absolutely. Again, one of my favorite albums. It's killer start to finish. It is the beginning of the progressive era of Iron Maiden. So it's a little sad for me. I mean, Power Slave is still hanging in there, but it's even more. And then by the time you get past Power Slave, it's all it started.
Started to take over.
What'd you say, Jeff?
Peace of Mind was before Power Slave.
What I'm saying is Peace of Mind. Yeah, Peace of Mind was the start of the progressive end, and then when Power Slave came out, it got even worse. And then at that point, it just dropped off the face of the earth to become more of a progressive band than I feel a metal band.
Once they started with that the synthesizer bullshit.
Yeah. Well, Priest did the same thing.
Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time, the same year, Priest did Turbo, and Maiden did Somewhere in Time. And I think I listened to Somewhere in Time once, and I didn't listen to it again. I bought it in a music center. I remember I listened to the album once. No, nothing on that album caught me.
Yeah, there's nothing that stands out.
No.
Matter of fact, there's one song, Loneliness of a Long Distance Runner, that I was like, this song's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's just, I think they probably shouldn't have went that route, but they probably should have took at least another year off before they had released that record. I think Maiden should have got their senses because Dickinson was burned out from touring. They all were burned out. And they probably should have waited till 87 or something. But they, like you said, Jeff, once they used the synthesizers, that was their downfall. And
you know what? Synthesizer and music at that point in time with both Priest and Maiden doing it.
Yeah.
You know, that was some big shit. So, you know, Metallica had went heavy, and Maiden and Priest couldn't handle going up against Metallica at that point in time.
And then Metallica was the new band that everybody started following.
Van Halen did.
But then they really
Van Halen did the album with Jump, with synthesizers and keyboards.
1984.
1984.
Yeah, that was the last one with David Lee Roth at that point.
Yeah.
You know what's funny when it comes to that, before I let you guys go? You know something? What I saw them with Hagar, and I'll say something. I'll give Sammy this. Sammy was actually a musician. Dave Dave was like Hulk Hogan and Billy Graham.
But see, Dave was a better front man, and I saw Van Halen with Sammy, and it was horrendous. I was a big Sammy fan before Van Halen. I thought it was going to be great. To me, it definitely lacked a little something. Hey, look, a couple of quick notes on the Peace of Mind album. One, it's the first Maiden album not named after a song on the album, not to feature a song that had the same name.
Oh, that's right.
And the original name of the album, the working title of the album, was supposed to be Food for Thought.
Ooh, I didn't know
that was the original title, the working title, and then they changed it to Peace of Mind because inside one of the songs, I'm trying to see which song it was. It had Peace of Mind.
Still Life.
Right. Peace of Mind, P-E-A-C-E. And they wound up making it Peace of Mind, P-I-E-C-E. But the original working title for the album was Food for Thought. Can't even imagine a main album titled Food for Thought. So
I know
at today's day and age, yeah, but not at that point in time, no. That was the first time they killed Eddie.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, you're right. 100% right, Jeff. Wow. Yes, good for you.
If
Yeah.
you remember, on the cover, he's bald, and he has the little latch on his head.
Yes.
Hold the top of his skull down.
Yeah, I would tell you it's probably the last Eddie cover I thought was great. Power Slave I didn't think was great. After that, it kind of went downhill. Yeah. I thought that was the last Eddie version that I really loved.
Yeah.
The first three were the first four.
Yeah.
With Maiden Japan, including Maiden Japan.
Oh, okay. So
Killers, Maiden Japan, and Number of the Beast were the first greatest ones. Peace of Mind, it started to slide at that point in time.
I agree. They had kind of taken it to a point, and then but to me that was the last. Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, all those albums.
Yeah.
That to me kind of slipped off the cliff as far as the now. A lot of this, I have a ton of the singles and the bootlegs and all that stuff. There's great stuff, great album artwork, but nothing beats Number of the Beast. That is to me the best album cover, bar none. That to me was it. I saw that album cover. It didn't matter if I was a Maiden fan already. That was the album cover.
It is cool. They did have the best art. They did. And,
so.
I tell you the truth, man. Aside from Die With Your Boots On, I never liked that song. Flight of Icarus, I got tired of real quick.
Because that was, okay.
Quest for Fire was a little boring, but the rest of the album was really good, man.
I loved I played Die With Your Boots On to open the show. It's my favorite one. But Trooper, Sun and Steel, really, I mean, the beat, the melody of To Tame a Land, I mean, just, killer.
You know what's even more important?
Revelations. Oh, what a great tune.
1980, Iron Maiden. 1981, Killers. 1982, Number of the Beast. 1983, Peace of Mind. 1984, Power Slave. 1986, Somewhere in Time. 1988, A Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. This was a band. They not only were they putting out albums like every time you turn around.
They were
They
touring.
were touring off of those
Yeah.
albums too.
Yeah.
Constantly. They
Yeah.
were touring constantly, and I mean, that's enough to fry anybody at one point. I mean,
Look, you're writing, recording, touring those albums nonstop
exactly.
for what,
Constantly
6,
going
7
back to
years?
back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think the strain really shorted the show from what they said on the Power Slave tour, according to Bruce, that DVD that I had, that he was getting mad because the manager kept extending the tour. And, they were like, we want to stop, I've had enough.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to go see them at Radio City the last night, and it was canceled. And I was bummed by that because I had to wait till '87 to see Iron Maiden.
I saw that tour. I was there the night before the second to last night, with the last night being canceled. He was sick. Dickinson was sick on stage. He got through the show, and they were great. I was them in Queensryche at Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that.
Great tour.
Friend of mine's dad got us tickets, and we were all set to go. And then he called me like the day before, and he said, "Turn the radio on, Carol Miller." And they did announce it. They said Iron Maiden shows for the next, like, it's tomorrow. It's like canceled, and he's like pissed and everything. And then he even called Radio City, and they said, "Yeah, no, that's it."
It was freezing. I think it was February. It was freezing. We were out there, me, Joe Gansas, and Jerry Brusco. We went to see Iron Maiden. Jerry wore his white. He's wearing his white motorcycle jacket. Didn't even know if he even heard of Iron Maiden, but he went with me and Joey. It was at Radio City, which wasn't a great place. The garden was obviously much better, but it was a great show. Queensryche was great. They were doing all the the legendary stuff at the time. I mean, obviously
the warning, and all.
It was just just absolutely a killer show, and that was a really good one. That was a great tour. And then, like I said, they canceled next night because Bruce, he was on stage. You can see the guy was sick as a dog. So
yeah, then I saw them with Ace Frehley, with my brother Joey, and that was in the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Then I didn't see him now. Like I said, I lost track of them, and then I saw them when they got back with Bruce a couple times. 99.
yeah, I saw Brave. I saw them at PNC with the Brave New World when they got back with Adrian and Bruce came back. That was a great show and a good album. Really good album. Underrated.
I saw Halford blow them off the stage though in the Garden.
See, Halford opened for them, and I thought he was terrible. And then Queensryche was good, and then Maiden was killer. But I wasn't a fan of him at that point. I didn't think he did a good job.
Yeah.
Yep. But listen, Will, I appreciate you
guys.
popping on, my friend, and you're welcome
thanks. Great
anytime.
chatting with you guys. We'll do it again.
Absolutely, anytime, brother. You got time?
Thank
You
you.
pop up, let us know.
Okay, enjoy your night, guys. Thank you.
That's Will Cloak. Take care, brother.
Take care, brother.
That's Will Cloak, good buddy of ours, and it was nice to have Will. Did a lot of time with Will talking Iron Maiden and a lot of wrestling. Always good to get a lot of wrestling in, Jeff.
I enjoy it, man. We don't do enough wrestling. We try to get so many other things in, and then we end up going offline and stuff like that. But it's always good to fucking talk with some wrestling, man.
Absolutely, Jeff. I want to bring up a little something before we get to hold on, let me kill the volume on that. Before we get to talk Chris Cornell and a little bit of football, I do want to talk to you about Aaron Judge's eyes, if you don't mind.
I'm the one that brought it up to you.
Oh, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to put it up on the screen for everybody to see. So, big controversy here in New York City. The Toronto Blue Jays have accused Aaron Judge and the Yankees of some form of cheating. Now, I'm going to play the video for you guys. I don't know how many people have seen it, and we'll get Jeff's take and my take on it. So, give a second. Let's take a look. Take a look. Oh, that was a monster. 62 feet. What a bomb he hit.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, my God. Holy cow. But watch his eyes, guys. So he's obviously looking at something.
Oh, and he took a long look, too.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, holy shit.
Now, we all know in baseball,
if you take your eyes off the road for that long, you travel like a quarter mile.
Yeah. And then sure enough, on that pitch, He hits an absolute 462-foot bomb. So most people seem to think, Jeff, that what he was looking at was either the first base coach or somebody in the dugout. And listen to the Frankie Catalano. You such a son of a bitch, Frankie. Anyway,
listen, he's in rare form tonight.
yeah, he is. He is in rare
He
form.
wants me to say something about the Jets. It's not happening. Just don't even pay attention to him tonight.
So, here's the way I look at it, Jeff. The Blue Jays obviously are tipping pitches, whether it's the catcher's giving a sign that everybody can see, or the pitcher is tipping his pitches somehow. If somebody in the team is picking up on that and they're relaying that somehow to the guy at bat, I got no problem with that. As long as there's no electronics involved, no binoculars involved, no bullshit like that. Jeff, to me, that's baseball. And if you don't like it, put one in his rib cage to figure it out for yourself. To me, this is bullshit.
I listen, I totally agree. You know how I would combat that?
Yeah.
If that sign is coming from the dugout,
Yeah.
every inning I would tell my pitcher or whoever I'm relaying the signs to, look at Tommy. There's going to be 3 of us at the steps doing signs, but look at Tommy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll stand next to one another doing signs, but look at Tommy. Next inning, look at Joe. The inning after that, look at Bill. Okay?
Yeah.
It's where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
You could steal the sign.
Yeah.
No, you have to.
Absolutely.
I agree
100%.
with everything you said. The only thing that should be off limits
Yep.
is binoculars and electronics. But you know something, Tom?
Yep.
I have an iWatch.
Yep.
Okay. If what you're watching a baseball game and you'll see the signs
Mhm.
and then you're texting me on the watch,
Mhm.
sometimes I hear it, sometimes I don't, sometimes I feel it, sometimes I don't.
Right.
But more importantly, by the time it gets to me, it may be too late. Then I'm not going to be able to know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So even with the aid of modern day electronics, doesn't mean that you're going to get the message across. More often than not, you probably will, but not all the time.
Yep.
You know? And look, it is what it is. If they stole your signal, so be it. Good.
Yeah, I agree.
Dumb enough to do a signal so stupid that they figured it out.
110%. And, here's the thing for me. I love this. And I'll tell you why. Mets just called up Gary Sanchez. Oh, my God. How horrendous is that, Frank? They brought up Gary Sanchez. Holy cow. That is, I can't even talk about it. I will in a minute. What I like about it, Jeff, it's caused controversy. It's fired teams up. Baseball is a great sport, okay? It's not for everybody. I get it sometimes. They do everything they can to speed it up because it's a slow-moving game, but that's the beauty of baseball. But when I love baseball, see, the other sports, Jeff, especially football, hockey, they have built-in aggression, right? Those sports are aggressive sports. You're fired up when you're playing it, right? Like you're just getting fired up to play those sports. In baseball, you see guys, they jog to first and they pat each other on the back. I love this because now teams are fired up. They're throwing baseballs at each other. They're sliding hard. The next night they were complaining that the Yankee coaches were outside of the box on first and third.
I know. I saw that.
Yeah, and then the manager called one of the Yankee coaches fat boy.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, I love that because it's all about rivalries. Baseball's about rivalries. Baseball's about fans hating the other team just because of the colors of the uniform. The players not liking each other. And to me, if you can get this on every game, this is what I want. And if you're the Blue Jays and your pitcher is tipping pitches or your catchers, giving signs that the other team's picking off, well, tough luck. Don't do it. Fix it. And if you can't, then you deserve whatever you get. And to me, this ain't cheating. I don't care. This is baseball. And as long as you keep the electronics out of it, I'm good.
Why? If you figure out the signs and you can figure out what the pitches is, so be it.
Yeah.
When you watch a game, baseball, right?
Yep.
You're watching a game of baseball on TV and you just see the catcher and he slips his hand between his legs. And next thing you know, he's starting to fire fingers down.
Yep.
All right. He's moving fingers left to right, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, left, right, left, left. Those are signals. He's sending signals to the pitcher.
Yep.
Okay. And the pitcher sits there and shakes his head. No. And meanwhile, they keep going. then he nods. So if you figure that out, so be it. I could see it on TV. What are you telling me, that the guy on the field shouldn't look? You
Yeah,
know,
I agree.
if the only thing that would concern me is if the guy is on second base and I'm the catcher and this guy's staring at my nuts.
I agree. But again, even then, if and to me, that's baseball gamesmanship. When the guy on second base gets up to bat, put one in his rib cage. You know, if you're able to slide it to second base, he's a second baseman or a shortstop, go in hard, take him out. You know, I believe police the game inside the game, but that's gamesmanship. And if you're tipping pitches or we're picking up your signs, hey, that's part of baseball, and you deserve to lose. And there's been tons of games where I've watched Yankee pitchers get shellacked, and afterwards you find out that he was every time he held the ball a certain way in his glove, we knew it was a curveball. Good for you. You figured it out. Shame on me. To me, it's not cheating. But I do love the
How is
fact.
it cheating when it's something that you could see? Like you just said, a pitcher getting ready to throw a curveball. If he puts two across the seams, and every time he puts two across the seams, here comes a curveball.
Yeah.
Now, if he's two on the seams, and it's going to be a slider or whatever the case is, that's fine. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And
Aren't
that's
you
why.
supposed to gain whatever advantage you can over your opponent?
Sure.
Because now, isn't that the reason that team is using signals?
You would think.
Okay, and then when you watch a guy at first base like Ricky Henderson,
Yep.
he'd be standing on the carpet when it was artificial in turf. Like some guys would be on the dirt when they're taking a lead. Like a guy like Chris Chambliss, he'd be 2 steps off the bag and look how far he is from the bag because he couldn't run. Then you get a guy like Ricky Henderson. He wasn't even daring him to try it. He was like, I'm going. This is what I'm doing. I'm going now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you I'm going. I'm on the other side of the carpet. And these are obvious signs.
Yeah.
And you could figure these signs out. They can't be a rule to stop that. That's just retarded.
I agree. And listen, if you're the Blue Jays and you want to get mad, I'm all for it. I think if you want to say that sucks, you shouldn't do it, I'm all for it. But I guarantee the Blue Jays do the same exact thing. And if you tell me you don't, you're full of shit. But if you want to be mad about it, I'm all for it. Be mad. I think you can. But to call it cheating, to say that the Yankees are doing something illegal, that's where I draw the line. I think that's poor gamesmanship. And again, I'm all for rivalries. If you want to hate the other team, I'm all for that. I think that just fires everybody up, Jeff.
I agree.
Yep, I think that's all. That's a good part of it. Again, Hard Rocket Sports. That's Jeff. I'm Tom, and we do this every Thursday night. 7 to 9, 9:30, or when we run out of stuff to talk about when we get that point. And that's been a lot of fun so far. Guys, also do remember that we're still trying to help out our good buddy Joe Casano and the guys over at Hemp Wizard Beer Care Company. Remember, they're the ones who give us our good fragrance here. Jeff is a big fan and an unpaid spokesman for a model, so to speak, for their products.
I got to tell you, man, I've been using the oil a lot.
Yeah,
I have a whole bunch of different ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This one is Cushman's here.
That's your favorite?
My favorite scents. I got one, Not Your Superman, Believe, Cookie Jar, Blueberry, Sunday Audible. I try to use a different one every day.
Nice.
This one, I really like this one. This is good. Certain ones I put on, and the wife seems happy to see me when I got them on.
There you go. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and again, remember that we're not going to forget Joe and his daughter Kaylee and the terrible affliction that she has, and they're still collecting money. I know the auction went off and all that, but you could still send money to A. Weissman 7604 at yahoo.com, Zelle. I'm trying to think what is it, Zelle and Venmo. I'm not sure. I have to check that out, but don't forget those guys. Buy the products, help out Joe and Kaylee, and of course support our good buddies over there. And I also see that there. Let me get this up on the screen. There is a Buckeye Beard battle coming up, and our good buddy Adam Hines, his band Fester, along with Black Sasquatch, looks like Dead Silent, will be at the Buckeye Beer battle That is August the 19th. And Sound Mouse Promotions live. So, we'll get you more. So High, who I'm a big fan of that band as well. The Hemp Wizard Boys. So I'm going to get more information, and maybe Adam, when he comes on, will give us a little insight into this whole thing. But August 19th, 23, look out for the Buckeye Beard Battle. And we'll get more information from this guy, Ted from Black Sasquatch sent me that. So make sure you guys promote that. Yes, I'm sure just a big shipment of myself. Yeah, so I'm about to get some stuff for myself. I got to order a couple more things for them. And my wife loves the hand cream. So again, guys, if you're looking for a beard care product, Jeff will tell you they got the best oils and all that stuff for your beards. We obviously love the Sunday Audible because it's named after our show, one of our shows. And make sure, again, if you have a friend or someone in your family who's growing a beard, has a beard, or wants to have a beard, or has nice skin and they want to put some nice stuff on it, make sure you reach out to the Hemp Wizard Boys at hempwizard.net for the full line of skin care and beard care products.
And then look at it this way too. Then say you got an aunt,
an
elderly aunt, and she needs skin care and beard care.
That's true.
Turn her on to a Hemp Wizard, because we all have that one aunt that has that thing, whatever you want to call it, on the side of her face. Or is it an unborn twin? Is it an extra tooth? Is it skin cancer? Is it just a mustache that didn't fall off or fully form? But they all seem to have one aunt that has that stuff, and make that shit soft, man. Make it presentable.
Jeff, he's so eloquent. Yes. So Edna, Jeff said Edna has that affliction, and of course, make sure you check it out. You check them out, hempwizard.net, for all your big beard care and skin care products. Jeff, before we get to some football, I want to play a little something here for you to talk a little bit about one of your favorite musicians, singers, and I believe that would be Chris Cornell. So let me play a little something from Chris Cornell for you, and then you can talk about it right here on the show.
I don't mind stealing bread from the mouths of decadence, but I can't feed on the powerless when my cup's already overfilled. Yeah. But it's on the table, the fire's cooking, and the farming babies with slaves are working. The blood is on the table and the mouths are choking. But I'm going hungry. I don't mind stealing bread from the mouths of decadence, but I can't feed on the powerless when my cup's already overfilled.
So, Jeff, a little something there from Temple of the Dog and Hunger Strike, and give me a little thought process on Chris Cornell, Jeff.
Well, listen, there's so much to say about Chris Cornell. He was, when he started off with Soundgarden, it was a raw, there's so many things you could use to words to describe Soundgarden: part metal, part grunge, part punk, part whatever. And it all revolved around Chris Cornell and that voice. Man, you listen to songs like Slaves and Bulldozers, there's parts of that song, man, that you're like, holy shit, how does this guy do this? Far Beyond the Wheel. It's just vocals like you wouldn't believe. And then they put out Temple of the Dog for a friend, Andy Wood from Mother Love Bone. That album came out in 1991. I remember when the video came out, and I was like, I didn't like Pearl Jam and shit at the time. So I didn't pay much mind to it. And then somebody got me the album for Christmas. And of course, I, listened to it because I got it for Christmas. And I heard all of these other great songs. Call Me a Dog. Oh man, Holy Wooden Jesus. Four Wall World. Man, there's a couple others. I for whatever reason, my pea brain can't remember the name of them. But they were unbelievable songs. And one of my 3 favorite albums of all time is the Temple of the Dog album. Then along came Bad Motorfinger that came out in 90, 91, 92. Soundgarden album. It was just incredible. Outshined, Rusty Cage, a great album. And then they changed a little bit because they put out Super Unknown, but still a great album and epic songs and just excellent songwriting. There's a song Like Suicide that Cornell wrote for that album, and it's all about a crow that flew into his window and hit a closed window and ended up Cornell had to kill the bird because the bird was dying slowly. And if you read the words to the song Like Suicide, you would never know what the song is about until you really sit and read the words and realize what he's singing about. It's just a well-written song. I understand that, the topic of killing a bird because it got injured is maybe one somebody's going to be like, well, how could that be a great song? But you got to listen to the song. And he had a talent. It was unbelievable. His solo stuff, while it got a little on the mellow side, was a lot of his songs are great. Seasons is an awesome song, man. Oh my God. Great song. Sun Shower, another awesome song. Mellow as fuck, but awesome. And then when he was with Audio Slave, Audio Slave, man, they put out some great stuff. I wouldn't consider them a grunge band, but they are the product of like 2 grunge bands with Rage Against the Machine and Soundgarden. It's just unbelievable, man. Songs like Cochise, Shadow on the Sun. Oh, Adam, I could go on for days talking about this stuff, man. Cornell is just unbelievable. Who else was a singer like Cornell in this time? Like he gets lost when people say metal singers, nobody puts him in the mix. And I think sometimes that's a shame that they pigeonholed him to just a grunge singer. I really do. He would be able to hold his own with just about any metal singer. I'm not saying he's the greatest metal singer, but amongst his contemporaries, he's definitely right up there. Maybe the best singer of his time period, without a doubt.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, I would not tell you I'm not a huge fan. I think he's got a great voice. Don't get me wrong. It's that era of music just has never done it for me. I do find myself tripping into things like that when you say, play this or listen to that for the show or whatever. And that's a very cool song. Hunger Strike's a really good tune. There's, stuff like Alice in Chains I would never listen to, but a couple times I've gotten, between Wood and some of the other songs, Rooster, the guy's got a great voice. I think it turns me off to a certain extent that he killed himself. I don't know why. It's nothing to do with me. I just think part of times I think like if you're that talented, you have that much ability, and to rob yourself, your family, and your fans, it's kind of a turnoff for me.
Tom, I got to be honest with you. I can't sit here and be a hypocrite because I've bitched about other people that have done that killed themselves.
Right.
But I got to be honest with you. It's that era. I don't know why you could say that genre of music.
Yep.
These guys that came out, if you listen to their music, you really listen to the words. These were people, they came across these words because they were feeling the dark shit that they sang about.
Oh, agreed. I got you.
The song Four Walled World. I never knew what it was about until I went and seen Temple of the Dog at Madison Square Garden, and Cornell explained to us what it was about. And he's like, it was like about a girl who couldn't leave her room because all it does is rain in Seattle, and the only world she had was her room. And like, if you listen to the words, it's just like, it's just unbelievable, man. I can't say enough about it. That whole album, do yourself a favor. If you can, download it, stream it if you don't have it, and just give it a listen. But listen to it with an open mind and just listen to it, man. Don't do nothing, sit, relax, and it's a great movie, a great album. I've had the pleasure of listening to that album while exploring my own mind, so to speak. Okay, and I think it made it better, and it definitely provided a soundtrack, because it was just like, wow, listen to this. And same thing with Dirt from Wood, man. The first time I heard that, I was alone by myself, going into the dark depths of wherever, and just listening to that, and I'm like, wow, man, holy shit, it's fucking great. And it's a great album, man. Wow.
Oh, again, listen to everybody, to each their own. Everybody's got their thing, and everybody's got their thought. And
I can't wait to retire and listen to these albums again the way they should be listened to, loud and in the clouds, man.
Well, not too far off, Jeff. Not too far off. But again, Hard Rocket Sports, Jeff and Tom. Again, a sad note of obviously the passing of Chris Cornell a few years back, and we did our little tribute show back then. And every year, Jeff kind of remembers, and I don't. I have to be honest. And Jeff tells me, put this up, and
I have to, man. It's
I'm trying. And listen, if a guy moves you, the music moves you in some way. That's what music's supposed to do. Music's supposed to move you in a way, whether it's, I think sometimes that era of music, moves people in the wrong way, in my opinion, because it's so dark, because it's so deep, because I think it reaches in. And I think a lot of these guys like Chris Cornell, like Kurt Cobain, like a lot of these guys who took their own life, their music almost promotes it. I know they don't mean to, but I think the depth and the darkness of their lyrics. And again, I don't read lyrics. I could probably sing every Iron Maiden song ever written, most 80s metal songs. And if you ask me what the song's about, I probably couldn't tell you, because to me, it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of people who buy into that, Jeff. And I think the beauty of that music, and also the darkness of it, is because of how well it's written, because of the type of songs they wrote. I think there's a double-edged sword where you can buy into the meaning of it, and you can buy into how deep and how beautiful maybe the thought process is. But there's a darkness that I think can trigger people, and obviously the people who write some of that stuff had a bit of that.
Yeah, I'm looking for some stuff right now. Mm-hmm. I don't have it on this. Wow. I don't have it on this list. It's amazing. I'm looking up the Temple of the Dog album, because I can't think of the name, but Say Hello to Heaven was written especially at Say Hello to Heaven and Reach Down were both written for Andy Wood. And then they just put the rest of the song together. Call Me a Dog, just an incredible song. Times of Trouble, definitely a drug-related song. Mm-hmm. If you listen to it, the drug references are so straightforward. It's unbelievable. 10 songs on this album, okay? And these 10 songs, I consider this one of my 3 favorite albums. And you know my music history and a lot of the bands that I listen to, and a band with one album has made that much of a profound impact.
Yeah.
It became one of my favorite albums. It's just that, along with Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Vulgar Display of Power from Pantera, man. Like, if I was being told I could take 3 albums with me, those are the 3 that I'm reaching for. But I got to say, the Temple of the Dog album, great listen, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I have a hard time. Like a lot of the albums that I would put in the category of a life changing for me, were just like I said, I've always said that I think that the most important metal album for me was Blizzard of Oz, because it you went to school one day and everybody's wearing Jordache jeans or Sassoons or Sweet Oars, Sham shirts. And the next day everybody's got long hair and painted jackets with Ozzy or Randy Rhoads on the back. So to me, to me when I think of life changing or the album that I would first reach for, Blizzard of Oz or Made in Japan, because that was the first real metal album I ever got from Paul Gill for Christmas in I think 1980. I think 1980 or 81. I think it was 80. But I can't say that any album has ever moved me in that way. I love the melody of a lot of albums and songs, but I maybe not having experienced it in the cloud, so to speak, has robbed me of that ability to dig deep. Maybe I'm not digging deep enough, Jeff.
Well, listen, everybody, that's why it is different genres of music, and people like different artists and everything else. Who's to say you're wrong? Who's to say I'm right? All I know is that to me, I could sit and listen to this album. I'm not going to get too much into it for a variety of different reasons of what not that I was on the edge of killing myself. That was far from it.
Right.
But, as being in the clouds a lot and listening to that album a lot, it was like just unbelievable. And, just well-written album, great album. When I saw them live, Chris Cornell was like somebody like you felt as though you knew him.
Yeah.
And it was just unbelievable. And Adam, you know what? You could interpret the songs, but there is no right or wrong. But what there is your interpretation and what the message the song is sending.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people do not pick up on the message that the song is sending or the story that the song is telling. And that's the shame of it. And I'd be honest with you. I'm sorry, Frank. Adam wrote that. I'm sorry. Let me back up on that. I'm sorry. But the song Like Suicide, I actually had to look up what does the song mean to get the true meaning to it. And once I found the true meaning, I was like, wow. It was like, unbelievable. Like this guy came up with these metaphors to describe all that. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, listen, again, everything moves people in different ways. And like I said, for me, words to songs never meant anything to me. I don't know why. Doesn't matter. Once in a blue moon, you get a song that it's kind of funny or has a line in it that you want to buy into. But for me, it's all about the melody, and maybe that's why I never contemplated killing myself. I have no idea.
Frank, what album are you talking about, or what song are you talking about? I'm pretty sure he's talking about a Temple of the Dog song, but
yeah,
Frank
I'm pretty sure
has a pretty large range of music he likes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Adam, what are your thoughts of Temple of the Dog? That album. Well, it's a cool album, Frank. You may like it, man. Oh, okay. That's a great album, man. I love it. Yep. I absolutely love it.
Absolutely. Again, Hard Rocket Sports, Jeff and Tommy. We pay tribute to Chris Cornell and, of course, the passing of superstar Billy Graham, iconic wrestler from the 70s. I think that would be his time frame, 1977 world champ in the WWF. We had Will Cloak on with us for a little while. We talked about that. Aaron Judge. I want to do a little football for the last few minutes, Jeff, that we're on. I want to talk a little about the NFL schedule that came out. And interesting, first game of the season. It's usually the big game. Stand alone. Everybody's pumped up for football. And this year, Jeff, we get the Lions and the Chiefs on a Thursday night. Interesting schedule release.
An interesting game to start off with because a lot of people are high on the Lions. I've seen people.
Yeah, me too. I am. I'm there.
The Lions 10-7 winning the division. I don't buy into that yet, man. I think that in another year or two, at the rate they're going, they're going to be a monster team to be reckoned with, man. Holy shit. I would not want to piss them guys off, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But I don't know about this year. And speaking of staying in that division, Justin Fields, I don't know. He had a couple good games last year. Now everybody's anointed him the next best thing in football.
I don't get it. I'm not buying it either. Yeah, I agree with you. He's gone from maybe they'll have to find another quarterback to rushing for 1,200 yards, I think, last year, and throwing for probably 2,000. And they're saying it's not him; it's the receivers around him. I'm telling you, I don't see it. But yeah, I agree. I don't see a major turnaround for the Bears. I think it's the Lions win that division in a fight, maybe with the Vikings. To be honest with you,
Yeah, I agree. Vikings.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to give the nod to the Vikings over there.
I think you could be. I think the Vikings are the established team. They have some of the better plays. I think this team is ready to make a jump. I think Jared Goff, to your you've said it. Maybe he's turned the corner a little bit. He's thrown like 300 straight passes without an interception. You got to go back to week 9 of last year before he threw an interception. So that guy's, yeah. So I think that team is ready to make a move. Now, do I think they're going to Super Bowl? No. I still think there's some holes. I don't know that their coach is. I don't know if Campbell's ready to be a Super Bowl winning coach. They may need to make a coaching change before it happens. But I think that team's going to be a top team. They'll be a playoff team, and I think they'll win that division. But it's an interesting game because if you think about it, I mean, the Lions just are one of those teams that you never see all year long on Monday nights and Sunday nights. They just show up on 12 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day.
The Detroit Lions have had the least amount of primetime games in the last 5 years in the NFL. And I think it was 6.
For a reason.
Because it sucked.
Yeah, because they've been horrendous and for 20 or 30 years. I mean, you got to go back to the Barry Sanders days, and even then they weren't great. They were fun to watch because Barry Sanders was their player. But it's an interesting opening game. But there's a lot of let's talk a little Jets and Giants. Both of them, a lot of primetime games, Jeff, for our teams. I obviously the Jets. Everybody's got Aaron Rodgers fever, maybe rightfully so. The Jets have some big games and prime times. So let's see. The week 1 they have the Bills. Week 4 they get the Chiefs. Week 6 against the Eagles. They have a very tough schedule. The Jets. What is your thoughts on so many and the standalone game, first ever Black Friday game, Jets Dolphins?
Well, listen, here's what I think. I think, one, they're making too big of a deal over this fucking standalone Black Friday game. So it's just another way for the NFL to make more money, already billions of dollars that they're making a year. So they'll make more. That's one thing. Second of all, until the Jets do it, I really find it hard to stand behind them and say that, this team is going to do that or this or this. I do think that they're going to be a double-digit winning team. I think they could get to 11 wins with Aaron Rodgers if they play hard like they did last year, especially if Breece Hall comes back and plays like he was playing. Mm-hmm. If he plays half as good, I think they'll be good and be good, a better team this year. I think their defense is good. If everything goes right, I want you to think of it this way. What team could actually stop them? It's not going to be the Steelers. It's not going to be the Baltimore Ravens. It's not going to be, can it be the Chiefs? I don't know. Mahomes doesn't have receivers, but he's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Could it be the Bills? I don't know. The Jets beat the Bills last year. They split with the Bills last year.
Yep.
Everybody says, the window's closing for the Bills, and they didn't take a step forward. They didn't this, they didn't that. So let's see if the Jets close the ground. Miami was pretty tough last year, but with a couple injuries, who knows? I don't see the Patriots being a team to worry about. And in the AFC, there's the only team that I would be worried about, would be the Bengals. And even they don't scare me that much.
It's an interesting thought, but the problem for me is, you still have the Chiefs, you still have the Bills until beaten. I think Miami's done a ton to fix this team. I don't think the head coach is great, and I worry about the health of Tua. And I still don't think Tua is a great quarterback.
I think Tua has to be a great quarterback. That team is going to be scary fast.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think obviously the Bengals are a tough team, and I think the Jaguars have rounded the corner. I think that playoff run, the playoff games last year and that season, I think that team is not to say a Super Bowl contender, but I think it's a tough. They're going to be a tough division, tough team in that division. And Pittsburgh's made some moves. Could Pittsburgh rebound? Yeah. Could the Ravens be tough? The Ravens are always tough. I don't really care for them, but they'll always be a tough in-season team. So the AFC is very tough. In the NFC, it's a different thing. So the Jets have an opportunity. I agree. I still think that they still have a big hole on the offensive line. They still don't have a tight end. There's a little bit of questions after Garrett Wilson.
That's another thing too. They
Yeah.
got they drafted one in the 7th round, and they're making it seem like what they got. We got this freak in the 7th round.
Yes.
When was the last time a 7th round pick came out into the NFL and became a star?
Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot.
No, it doesn't happen a lot at all. I think the name of the movie was Rudy, wasn't it? The basic Todd coming out and becoming famous.
Yeah, it's again, there's still some holes. Do I think they've closed the gap? Yes. I think the Jets have closed the gap just because they've got to. Listen, it's the first time in a long time that you can say the Jets have a legit quarterback, somebody who you don't have to worry week to week. Now, I don't think Aaron Rodgers was great last year. I think he was far from it, and I do believe there was a better offensive team last year than he has right now with the Jets. The difference maker for me is the Jets have an all-world defense. They have a top 5 defense, and it may be top 3 if everybody plays to the level they played last year. So I think the difference is he doesn't have to be great. He just has to be good on offense.
I think they have the possibility of doing.
Yes.
But that's why I say I have more confidence in saying the Jets are going to get to 11 wins than they could say they're going to get to the AFC Championship game.
I would agree with that. I think the Jets in a one game mode are a tough team because their defense is so good. Again, they still have issues in the kicking game. Offensively, I think there's issues, but I think if you get in a game and you keep it tight, the Jets can win because they have a quarterback who isn't going to make huge mistakes. He's going to make his mistakes. He's going to play bad. He's going to make bad throws. But I think if they get any sort of semblance of a running game going and Garrett Wilson isn't a one-year wonder, that's a tough team, and they're going to have a good season. Now, are they going to go from 4 wins or whatever they have? What they have, 7 this year?
7.
Yeah, are they going from 7 wins to 11? It's not undoable. I'm looking at their schedule. We'll break it down next time we do the show. But Bills, Cowboys, Patriots, Chiefs, Broncos, Eagles, Giants, Chargers, Raiders, Bills, Dolphins, Falcons, Texans, Dolphins, Commanders, Browns, and Patriots. Not out of the question of being a good team for the Jets.
I want to address Adam's question about the Browns. Adam, I mean, this is just my thoughts. I think they made a big risk by going after Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Who it seems as though that the women coming out of the woodwork have seemed to have stopped. At least I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything on that case. Yeah.
And but nobody said he's exonerated. But more importantly, nobody said that he was guilty. So I don't know what's going on with that. But I mean, there was some money that he laid out, to keep some people quiet.
Yes, he offered. I think they did pay some. There was a couple that wanted to go to trial. I've not heard a word since that. I would say this. I think he was a borderline good quarterback. I think he was a good quarterback in Houston. I think the time off is going to hurt him. I believe they're the 3rd best team in that division. I would be shocked if they finished any higher than 3rd in that division. And as good as that conference is, Jeff, I have a hard time seeing them making the playoffs.
I got to agree. And I got to be honest with you. I think that as long as I think they're going to keep him for the amount of time for the picks that they gave up. So what did they give up? 3 first-rounders for him or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that he's going to be on that team for at least as long as they gave up 3 first-rounders. He'll be there for at least 3 years, or 2 first-rounders, so we'll be there for 2 years. If it doesn't start to work, I mean, they got rid of Baker Mayfield after a couple of years, and he was a first-round pick. So I don't see them giving him a lot of time.
The problem is that contract. It's all guaranteed money. His whole contract. That's the problem with that one. What I never understood on that whole thing was if you'd have told me that Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or somebody got that deal, I'd understand it. But to give for the Browns to go all in and give him the 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed deal that he got, I just never understood it. He wasn't a game-changing, franchise-changing quarterback, Jeff. This wasn't Drew Brees. This wasn't Aaron Rodgers. This wasn't Tom Brady. I think of a bunch of quarterbacks I would have picked over him, to be honest with you.
Well, listen, he had, like you said, he had a good year or two with Houston.
Yeah.
He forced his way out of Houston, and why he would want to go to the Browns is a questionable. Well, listen, I hear you, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
When that happens, these guys are showing that they're for the money, not for the wins.
Absolutely, sure. But think about what that has done to this league. I mean, look at Kyler Murray's deal. Look at Lamar Jackson's deal, and all the money they got guaranteed in the years for guys who, to me, are very questionable quarterbacks. And again, they've all done it. I mean, there are quarterbacks getting contracts throughout the league, but the fact that he got that guaranteed deal has completely turned the position upside down. Again, Adam, I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I just think they're in a division where I believe for sure the Bengals are better, right, Jeff? I would think for sure the Steelers are going to be better than them.
The teams around them are going to be better than they are. I
agree.
They may not be a bad team, but they're in a division with other teams that aren't bad teams.
Yep.
Aside, it's going to be the Bengals and everybody else.
Yep.
But the other teams, I think, are a little bit better. Don't forget, too, you're talking about it. You have a quarterback that's only played 6 games in 3 years, 2 years?
Something like that, yeah. 2 years and change, yeah.
That's a long time, man. That's a long time.
Yep, and I agree. I think that's another big piece of that. Again, I'm going to run through one more thing with Jeff, and we're going to call this a night. And again, remember, next week is a 50-50 on the show. If I do it, I'll be doing it on the road. So I'll let you guys know. I think I'll talk to Jeff as the week goes, and as I do my thing, we'll see. But right now, we'll say the show is on for next Thursday night. It might be an abbreviated one, but for right now, next Thursday night, we are in. Unless Jeff has something going on, then we'll take it from there. But right now, we'll finish up, Jeff. The New York Post had 10 must-see matchups of 2023. I want to see how many of these 10 you agree with.
Okay.
All right. To me, you're the show's NFL expert. You're the guy who usually goes, and it gives me the ups and downs of the yeses and nos. So week 1, they have the Dolphins at the Chargers as a must-see game in week 1. What's your thoughts on that as a must-see game week 1?
I wouldn't call it a must-see game. I don't think it's going to be a bad game. I think it's going to be a decent game. Must-see? No.
Must-see would be what? Something you have to race home for, or you alter your schedule to see?
Kansas City versus Cincinnati would be a must-see game.
Okay.
Or Kansas City, Philadelphia might be must-see. But no, that game, no.
Okay. The second game they're talking about is week 4. Ravens at the Browns because of the quarterback matchup. They're calling this a must-see game. Odell Beckham, getting the ball, trying to get the ball from Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson with his fully guaranteed deal. They're calling this a must-see game. To me, this is a must-avoid game because I think this is going to be 2 bad teams playing each other, but it's a division rival. Week 4, Jeff, what's your thoughts? Must-see game?
I don't know if I should say must-see, but curious game. Because it's a division rival. It's an AFC North game. They're going to play one another tough. I don't think that it'll be if it's on, I would watch it. Odell Beckham is playing his former team. You want to see by that time, a lot of players are established in the way their seasons are going to go. Let's see what his is doing. Let's see what the quarterback, Lamar Jackson, is doing. Let's see what Watson is doing. So, it might not have playoff implications, but it could be an interesting game for that time of year.
Okay. That's a good thought. The next one they have is week 7. And this one makes no sense. It's two worlds collide. It's the start of the Jordan Love era and the start of the Sean Payton era. Packers at the Broncos week 7. Is that a must-see game because Jordan Love is facing off against Sean Payton's Bronco team? I know Adam's going to Frankie's going to watch it, but other than that, is that a must-see game?
To me, no. I don't think it's a must-see game at all. Curious to see what Jordan Love is going to be doing.
But at that point, you'll have already seen Jordan Love 6 times.
Well, but maybe not. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch the.
That's true.
But I mean, the Broncos are supposed to have a pretty decent defense, so it maybe it's a good game. Who knows? I mean, it's not going to be one I'm running home to watch.
That's the point. Must see is different than when. Okay, we next one, week 8. Texans at the Panthers.
No,
now on the fifth. But here's why they're claiming it's a must see. The top 2 quarterbacks in the league in the draft are in this game.
3 of the top picks
Yeah.
in the 2 games.
Yep.
Game right there. But no, I don't have any interest in watching this game whatsoever.
I agree with that. Week 9, this may be the first time that we got an interesting game that's a must-see game, Jeff. And this is Bills at the Bengals. Could possibly be another AFC Championship game in the making. After last year's with the way everything went, the way the season ended with the DeMar Hamlin thing, I believe that this is a must-see game.
This not only is a must-see game, but this may be for home field advantage.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, a win at this point in time could put somebody over the top.
Interesting. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, week 9, you go out there and you win this game, and the season ends with the tie, or you guys are within percentage points, and next thing you know, you got the W, and you got the home field for the playoffs. So yeah, I think that's a must-see game. Week 11, Jeff, has a rematch of the Super Bowl, Eagles at Chiefs. A good game. I'm not calling this must-see. I got to be honest with you. I think this is a good football game, but I'm not necessarily running home to watch this one.
I think it's too early in the year to say that it's a possible Super Bowl matchup. It does nothing for me.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. A game that should have been a better playoff game, but because of the injury to their quarterbacks, 49ers at the Eagles week 13 could shape up to be the AFC Championship game, the NFC Championship game, or an NFC playoff game of some sort. This is a good game, but 2 teams that I have no interest in, and most people hate the Eagles. I don't think this is a must-see game, but this is one of those games, if it's a 425 game, you're watching it.
Yeah, I could see watching this game. This one may be interesting. You might see these guys bump into one another in January, February. But, yeah, I would call this one must-see, yeah.
I agree. Week 14.
Especially if the 49ers quarterback situation is rectified by that time.
True. Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Week 14, Jeff, NFC East matchup, Cowboys at the Eagles at the Cowboys. Division rivals. This could play into, who wins the division, playoff seeding. It's always a big matchup. Again, I hate both teams. For me, as a Giant fan, this is a must-see game because this is probably division implications. This is playoff matters. To me, this is should be a great matchup. But what's your thought on the outside of the NFC East?
I'll be honest with you. This is not a game that piques my interest. I'm not a NFC East fan at all.
Yep.
I despise all 5 teams in that division.
5 teams?
Yeah, I hate enough hate for 5.
Especially
the blue ones.
I got you.
So I got to say, I have no interest in watching this one.
All right. So I got 2 more, and that'll wrap up our show for tonight. This is one we just talked about where both of us think that these 2 teams will be fighting for the division in a week 16 matchup, Jeff. So 3 weeks to the end of the season. The Lions are at the Vikings. I think this is a huge game. This should be a fun game if both teams play out the way we think it's going to play out, and this could mean the division.
It is possible that it could mean the division. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. Time is going to tell. I like the Lions, so I'm curious to see what happens with the Lions. So I'm curious to see it. Yeah,
Must see. Okay, good. And Jeff, finally, there.
yeah. I would say.
And
Everything
finally,
goes right. Yeah.
yep. And here's one: Week 17, New Year's Eve. Jeff, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. The Bengals are at the Chiefs. This is a must-see game.
I
If you're
would
going to
say,
watch if you're going to watch a football game, especially on New Year's Eve, this is a game you got to go. All right, hon, I'm with you. We're going to go watch Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve. I got you, but I got to see Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow duel it out, possibly for playoff seeding. This is the true definition of a must-see football game.
I think it's a must-see football game. You know, for all these years, we've all watched the show with the word "dick" in the title, going from one year to the next.
Yes.
Maybe it's time to watch a football game and halftime start during the midnight hour. You know, and keep us away from Dick Clark.
I would, who's no longer there. I would also tell you that on October 29th, you're going to have to make plans. Whether, let's see, is that a 1 o'clock? A 1 o'clock game on October 29th. You're going to have to take the day off.
It's the Giants and Jets.
Giants and Jets. We will be watching that together.
And where is this? Who's the home team?
The Giants are the home team. So I think. So now here's the question: do we watch it in a neutral place? We go to a bar, or you coming out? You coming out here?
I'm gonna have to come out there. I'm gonna have to eat it and come out there.
All right, that's it. I'm all for it. I think you're gonna. I think if there's ever a Giant game we're gonna watch together, your beloved Jets with Aaron Rodgers hopefully still creaking along. We'll be facing my beloved Big Blue with Danny Dollars behind the helm, possibly on his way to an MVP season early on and it's a big end of the season, end of the first half of the season matchup. So put that on your calendar. On the 29th of October, you will be having chili at my house while we watch the Big Blue and Gang Green at 1 o'clock.
I am hoping that Aaron Rodgers,
oh boy, here we go,
goes 32 of 38 for 417 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's Hall. I hope he's 10 of 189 yards.
Wow, some offensive day you're having.
3 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, 17 catches, 286 yards.
Yeah, that's it. That's all he's got in 286.
That's it. That's all he needs.
That's all he needs. All right. Mark it down. Remember, this is on tape now, so I will absolutely pull the cap.
That ball all before halftime.
And they'll sit on the second half.
By the midway point of the second half, the second quarter, all of them are sitting.
Second half, you'll be quarterbacking at that point.
Yeah, there you go.
So October 29th, we will be watching it together. We will be, and I decided we're gonna Facebook Live us watching the game together.
That's fine with me, man.
Yep, we'll be doing that. So, but let's wrap up the show. Jeff's got to work tomorrow. I got a 4 a.m. start tomorrow. So
4 a.m. start.
Yeah.
Are you even going to bed?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm afraid to go to sleep, but I got an early start tomorrow morning. Concrete pour day. Concrete pour days. You gotta get a little bit of an early start. So I'm.
What time? 4 to what?
Well, when I say 4 o'clock, for me it's walk out the door at 4 o'clock. So I have to be in Brooklyn at 5. So, yeah. So and then it depends. If we're done, I actually said that if we finish up a little early, I would probably try to sneak out of there at 2. But the likelihood is I'll be up till 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, I'm working. I could pretty much leave whenever I want tomorrow, but I'll probably end up being there till 2:30.
Yeah, and then I'll be sleeping all day on Saturday. I intend to do nothing this weekend. Again, the show will be 50-50 for next week, but Jeff and I will talk about it. I might try to do the show on the road. I'll be with my dad, so maybe we'll do it sit side by side. while we do the show next week a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out. But stay tuned for more information on next week's show. Anything you want to promote, Jeff? I know you got the food truck show coming up, right, for 25 Missions.
Yeah, 25 Missions, June 11th, Mount Loretto, the Food Truck Festival. And I bet you would never think you would see me playing a food truck festival, huh?
Visiting a food truck festival, maybe playing one. No.
Yeah, well, there I'll be.
All right, that's June 11th would be a Sunday. I've been to the food truck festival out there.
Yeah,
So,
I do believe we're going on for 1 p.m.
Oh, okay, good. Like I said, that's a good one. Maybe I'll grab the parents and we'll come out to the food truck festival and catch a set of 25 Missions and grab some good grub. Even though I'm still on my diet, I'll try to figure something out to eat. And,
A lot of greasy stuff.
A lot of greasy stuff. But either way, by the way, I want to thank Jeff. He took some time out last week. We got together, had a beer together. We don't get to do it too often, but we managed to sit down and hang out for an hour and change and have some fun. That was a blast. We'll do more of that. And if anybody's around the Food Truck Festival, Mount Loretto, coming up on June 11th, make sure you get out and see those guys. The Grazianos, Bolton and Billy and Bill, fantastic musicians and really good people. And I haven't seen 25 Missions, the new version, the original version Jeff was in. I got to see that a couple times, but I'm excited to see the new. Are we calling it 25 Missions 2.0?
No, just 25 Missions, man.
That's it.
Yeah,
Your 25 Missions is rivaling Deep Purple in the amount of different members, and it might be the instead of being the drummer as in Spinal Tap, it's the bass player. You know, every time Big Joe Bessa.
It might be, but I don't know. Does it count when the bass player comes back?
I'm not sure. I think it does count. It has to.
Well, and listen, who knows what's ever going to happen? Right now, everybody's happy. You never know what's going to happen.
That's true.
You know, 6
You never know
months
who's going to show up.
Could be somebody else in there. I don't know.
Could be Stumpy Pete. You never know.
Might be. All I know is right now I'm very happy to be there. We're having a fun time. We're learning some different songs, and we're just having fun, man. That's all that matters at this point in time.
Well, good for you and good for everybody. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. I think it's supposed to be decent weather up here. I didn't really check, but it doesn't matter to me because I ain't leaving the house. And of course, stick around for some big news on the show. Let's see what happens. Coming up on our 9th anniversary this July. And we got lots to do, lots more to get to. And hopefully we won't be doing too many more tributes for the dead. We don't seem to like that, but we will do what we have to do on the show, Jeff. That's how it works.
I hear you, man.
All right, so listen, give, again, a big happy birthday to Basil, as she's up on our screen right now. We want to wish Basil a happy 9th birthday, and hopefully many, 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 many more. Yep, and in the meantime, we'll say thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thanks to Adam and Frankie and Will Cloak and everybody who paid attention online and texted me during the show. And thanks to you guys for paying attention to us each week. So for Jeff Towinski, myself, and everybody here at Hard Rocket Sports, have a great night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and a great next week. Hopefully we'll see you here next Thursday night, right back here on the Hard Rocket Sports Show. Hefe, I'll talk to you off the air.
Later, man.
Later, my man.
Bye.